1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. $30 remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
If you're just joining us, Perloff is putting the finishing touches on 16 ounces of peanut butter. The man is a legend. Got the closer spoon, and Andrew Perloff, like Usain Bolt, cruising to the finish line. Last bite.
I flew way too close to the sun. Now I'm about to throw up all over the sun. Something feels wrong.
Yeah. Oh. Something looks wrong.
I don't feel well.
Ooh.
I'm glad I got through the first jar. That second jar was the biggest mistake of my entire life.
Yeah.
I was doing so good.
It took years off your life. Thank you, Ack, for correcting his grammar.
Ack, honestly, I can choose which way to throw up. I'm definitely going in your direction. So stop talking about it.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Happier days for Andrew Perloff when he completed the peanut butter challenge. Not so much today as his 76ers fall flat in a Game 7. How you doing, pal?
Not good, and I blame you, Maggie.
Why do I get blamed? I wasn't out there bricking threes. That was Harden.
Well, you might as well have been. You probably would have helped the team because you sat here on Friday and you've let me have hope.
You did that to yourself. I never give anyone hope.
Now, if you told me in February that the Sixers are going to lose in Game 7 to the Celtics in the second round, I would say that's not even a headline. That happens every year. I'm used to it. Somehow, some idiotic way, I fooled myself into thinking this team had a chance to be different than all the other recent Sixers teams. And, man, they were no different. In fact, they were somehow worse. And it was terrible yesterday.
That was I fell for you. I did. I wasn't going to text you because I felt like even if I texted something supportive, it was going to come off as sounding sarcastic. Like, hey, it's okay. I didn't think it was going to come off the right way. But now that we're here in person together, I am sorry. However, this team just sucks in crunch time. I mean, how are they this bad?
Well, James Harden has a long history of it. You can't be surprised by that. None of us are surprised.
Okay, then that's the front office's fault for even bringing him into the 76ers, thinking that somehow he was going to change this. I mean, Daryl Morey, the general manager, should know him better than anybody. He saw all those failures up close and personal.
Yes.
And couldn't wait to bring him in.
Well, they did get rid of Ben Simmons in the deal.
Yeah, he got a last laugh yesterday.
Sort of. We'll get it out in a minute. I mean, listen, he was watching the playoffs from home. That's all you need to know. Here's why it's not an ideal position for an NBA player. That's Ben Simmons. As for Harden, here's the thing. There's either a great game Harden, which we saw, games 1 and 4, I believe, or a bad James Harden. Isn't there a middle road James Harden? At some point, can't he just be a normal NBA player who doesn't have a great game, doesn't have a bad game? So I had fooled myself into thinking, you know what? If he just gives us 18 points or 20 points and 11 assists and lets Joel Embiid, here's the thing, and lets Joel Embiid be the star, then the Sixers have a good chance. So that formula obviously did not work. Did not work, Maggie.
How about 9 points? Can you live with 9 points? How about also, I mean, Harden went Harden, right?
Yes.
So at some points, he's a future Hall of Famer, he's a former MVP, but everyone knows he stinks in closeout games in the playoffs, and he was a no-show. He was bad in Game 6, and he was bad in Game 7. And by the way, this comes back to the 76ers should have closed this out in 6 games. They had Boston on the ropes. Tatum couldn't hit a shot. You gave them life. he got hot in the fourth quarter, and he just carried that over to Game 7 where Tatum was electrifying. He had 51 points, 17 for 28 from the field. He literally made history yesterday. That's the most anyone's ever scored in a Game 7.
Yeah, that long-standing record.
Yeah, well, Steph Curry broke it last record. And last round, rather.
Yeah. But, no,
it's okay.
Tatum was incredible, but they didn't even need those 50 points from Tatum. I think there were 7 players on the Celtics who played better than any 76er.
It's disappointing because of Embiid. So let's hear a little of Embiid, shall we? Because this is getting a lot of attention. Because Embiid has this penchant, Perloff, for after the Sixers get eliminated, which you mentioned, 5 of the last 6 years they've gotten eliminated in the second round, for maybe saying a little too much.
Yep.
And he and Harden were terrible yesterday, and afterwards he said, well, they need more help.
You can't win alone. I can't win alone. Me and James, we just can't win alone. That's why basketball is played 5-on-5. So, we just need everybody to just, try to keep finding ways to get better, and, we'll be fine.
Yep, no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear that. And
Nope.
Dame Lillard even quote tweeted and said, huh? Like Dame Lillard would kill to have one of these guys next to him, even if it is crappy Harden, because he's had such little help over the years. No, they can't be on the same team. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Dame's out there really trying to do it all alone. And meanwhile, these two guys are, two great NBA players who no-showed in a Game 7.
Yeah. I'm very well aware. Thanks for rubbing it in.
I'm just explaining what's going on. And Embiid didn't make it easier on himself.
So when I saw this quote, I was infuriated. But several people point out that he talked for a long, long time. Talked for 20 minutes, and I think I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he can't really be saying that it was all on the other guys besides him. And I heard enough of other little tidbits where he was taking some responsibility. It wasn't like he said, oh, that wasn't mine and James' fault, because that's insane. Of course it was their fault. They were terrible yesterday. He could be ripping Tobias Harris and DeAndre Melton, all these guys, right?
Okay, he did take a lot of responsibility. Let's hear the other Joel Embiid. So to be fair to Embiid, this is what he said before he said that it can't be just him and Harden alone. That's why basketball's 5-on-5. He did take some ownership.
We all got to look at ourselves. I got to be better, and I will be better. That's what I'm focused on. All of us, we got to, come back and find ways to just keep improving and, help the team.
I got to be honest. I don't think anyone believes him. And Embiid is a fantastic player. He was awesome. Many points in these playoffs, he was awesome. But I don't think anyone believes that they can actually get back, Perloff. I'm sorry to say, I think the process never worked.
Wait, this has nothing to do with the process.
Well, everything has something to do with the process.
Well, the process would work. So they fired the guy, the genius, Sam Hinkie, who came up with the process. And the next set of GMs, the first thing they did was they drafted Markelle Fultz over Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
So if they just drafted Jason Tatum, then Jason Tatum couldn't have scored 51 points against them last night. So let's start there.
2 titles if you
They would not have traded for James Harden. There's so many things that went wrong after the process. So you can't blame the process. The process was sound. They would have had Jason Tatum if Sam Hinkie was the GM. There was a lot of opportunities. That was a long time ago. They've made so many mistakes since then. I mean, their GM, Brian Colangelo, got fired for having a fake Twitter account.
Yeah, multiple burners.
And then they had Elton Brand, who wasn't good. And now they have Daryl Morey, this genius, who's in love with James Harden. So how is that on the process?
Well, I don't think anyone believes Embiid. And at least today. And Embiid, to me, embodies the process, because I saw a lot of when Embiid finally won the MVP a couple weeks ago, the process worked.
You're right.
And I'm here to tell you it didn't, because the multiple second round exits. And here's the thing. Embiid, though, has some baked in excuses. He clearly wasn't 100%. He stepped on Marcus Smart in the first half of this game. I thought that might have been something. Re-aggravated the knee, maybe tweaked the ankle, whatever. He's always so banged up. It's like hard to blame him necessarily, but he's the MVP. He was out there.
Yep.
This happened on his watch. And I just don't think there's a lot of faith that they're ever going to really be contenders.
Oh, 100%. You're 100% right. To make it a bigger picture question.
Okay.
Can a center like that win an NBA title?
Well, we'll see if Jokic can do it. I mean,
I think it's a real referendum on Jokic. Believe it or not, I think is a referendum. If he goes out in this round, then I think people are going to start to realize that MVPs and big men are great in the regular season, but you can make them ineffective in the postseason. So I think there's a lot riding on Jokic advancing. Otherwise, people will be like, why do I have to put all this money into these centers who get a lot of points in the regular season but can't win in the playoffs?
Listen, I know he's not labeled as a center because I guess Brook Lopez is technically the center, but Giannis is a big man.
No.
Anthony Davis is a big man.
Well, yes, the other guy. Anthony Davis won one in the bubble. He's not a big man like Embiid's a big man, and neither is Giannis. And Embiid's 7'2", 310 pounds.
Listen, I think you want to make this about the big man because I think you're deflecting. This isn't about the Sixers. Their body language is terrible. The coaching is suspect. This is about this team.
No. I think honestly, I think you're wrong. I think it's about that kind of center cannot be the 1A in a playoff. Like, Embiid's never going to be LeBron or Michael Jordan. He's never going to be able to do that because you can neutralize those kind of big men. You saw what happened last night. The Celtics started raining threes on him. I don't care if he could have put in 20 more two-pointers. You need wing players, so they need the right wing players around him. That's why I'm not giving up hope. He just cannot do it alone. He's right. He needs a bunch of really, really good wing players, and then maybe he can win.
Okay, so the whole team needs a massive makeover?
Yes, they need to be built like a champion, not where the ball just goes to Embiid and stays there for 15 seconds or goes to Harden. They need the kind of players the Celtics have, these really talented defensive wing players and scorers. Yeah, I mean, look at who's alive now. Does anybody team look like the Sixers? Not really.
No, but I mean, we're going to talk about the Lakers a lot. And the Lakers, I know Anthony Davis didn't do a lot of scoring in the second half of Game 6, but he's clearly effective. He's altering shots. He's shot blocking.
Oh.
Like, that is a big part of this. I know the Warriors ran out of steam. They ran out of gas. But, I mean,
Are you willing to die on a hill for Anthony Davis? It's going to give you a consistent 6 games right here, Maggie?
Of course not. I mean, I'm a human being. I watch basketball. I've got eyes. No. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm just telling you, we do have 2 big men who are a 2-time MVP and Anthony Davis, who is one of the 75 greatest players of all time, according to the NBA. And these are 2 of the last 4 remaining teams have big men who they rely on. Yeah, you take LeBron off those Lakers, and there's no Anthony Davis. So forget. I don't put Anthony Davis in the same sort of pond as Joker and Embiid. He's just much more. He's a little shorter and he's more mobile. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. He's not a center. He's not a center. He's not a center like Akeem's a center. Like Anthony Davis is really a power forward. Manny, this is the song only when the 76ers win.
Is this supposed to be a dig? I don't even care.
Manny, don't.
I'm already dead. It doesn't matter.
We've already drank Perloff's tears. We don't need this. This is just rubbing it.
All right. Besides that dig, can we just Anthony Davis is not a center like Joel is a center. Can we just all agree on that?
Sure. Whatever makes you sleep at night, Perloff.
Do you think he's like, oh, the great centers of all time, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Akeem, Anthony Davis? No, he's a 4.
No, but these guys also are able to hit threes. Yes, they're very different now. They all have a different skill set. You know, I never watched any of those big men step out, hit threes. No, they were posted up under the basket. They were doing back to the basket stuff. Of course it's different now. But I can still tell you that 2 out of the last 4 teams do have big men who they are either make or break winning a title with. Like if they don't play well, they're not winning a title. And that's Anthony Davis and Jokic.
Okay, let's say a 7-footer over as your star player. Give me the last team to win a title like that.
Kevin Durant on the Warriors.
Kevin Durant. He's
a 7-footer. I mean, it's not the same.
I don't think he's quite 7 feet, though. Is he? He's listed at 6'10", and he's really 6'11". But no, seriously, give me a big plotting center like Joel. It doesn't work in today's NBA, so you need great wing players, and they don't have them. You
thought you were winning Game 7. You can't give me this BS on Monday.
The spread came. Well, I didn't think we were winning the title, even if we did win Game 7, because Jimmy would have just destroyed the Sixers single-handedly.
And you want to know what that is? Yeah. That's upstairs. That's mental toughness.
No,
yes, it is.
It's makeup of your team. I mean, perimeter players win in the NBA in the playoffs, and the Heat got a lot more than the Sixers.
Okay, but you could not, if the Sixers had advanced, there's no way you could make a case that the Heat had the better roster.
Yeah, but there's no way you could play 50 series with Jimmy Butler against the Sixers, and Jimmy's winning 49 of them.
I think that's because he lives rent-free in Joel Embiid's head, too. And I think that's a mental makeup thing. And that's where another thing about Embiid, do you worry about that? Because, again, the body language was bad yesterday. Where's the fight? And maybe he doesn't feel like he's got the right guys to fight with, because I've seen it from Embiid before.
Yeah.
I know it's in him. It just wasn't there.
Well, it's just hard for a center. I just think he can't control the game like Jimmy Butler can control the game, because he doesn't have the ball in his hand. And when he does, remember the Game 6 where they lost? What did he say? I didn't get the ball in the last 4.5 minutes. That's what you can do to a big center. It's hard.
Got to be honest, though, if we are going to criticize everything about Embiid and Harden, and they deserve it, one thing Harden was not doing yesterday, he was not dribbling the ball for 18 seconds. They were getting in the lane.
Oh, I totally disagree.
In the third quarter, when the game was decided, he was getting in the lane and kicking it out to every corner, and the Sixers couldn't hit a shot.
I'll show you. We'll get the TV. There were so many possessions in the third quarter where he held onto the ball at the top of the key.
Dude, not when the Celtics were on their big run.
Yeah, he was trying to do something, and then he missed a bunch of shots, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. Then he backed off. But he did have a phase in the beginning of the third quarter where he was holding on to the ball. He always says, just to get over the half-court line, it takes him 8 seconds.
For some reason,
he's a 24-second clock eater.
The 76ers are never... there's never urgency. I always thought that's because they're trying to give Joel as much time as possible to get back down the court without him having to sprint.
I think it's more James Harden is so winded because he just had 3 hoagies before the game. I mean, can we talk about fitness? Is that an obvious? I mean, your eyeballs don't lie. Sure, it looks like James Harden's out of shape to me. Sure, it looks like Joel Embiid's out of shape to me.
Well, Embiid, though, doesn't he have a little bit of an excuse because of the knee, right? He missed some time. He's kind of like hulking.
Yes.
That's how it would, and that's what the thing about Embiid, he's this hulking kind of guy, yet he's falling all the time, too. It's like the dude's always on the ground. Every time he goes to the basket, he's always falling down. That's got to take its toll at some point.
Yeah, when things were going well, everyone said, oh, he knows how to fall, and that's how he avoids injury. He learned playing soccer, whatever. I have no idea. The truth is, whatever is going on now, it's not going to work. And we haven't even talked about Game 7. Doc Rivers. Oh, man. Don't even start on that. I mean, talk about history.
Harden-esque.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, they could share notes on how to blow a Game 7.
I mean, what was it? 6-10 in Game 7s all time, I believe, is his record. I mean, just atrocious. And it's not like Doc's had bad teams.
No, I mean, Doc's had success too. Let's not say he's a total failure, but he is really on a bad run in key moments.
This one is woof. 855-212-4CBS. According to Doc, though, Manny, let's hear from Doc Rivers last night. He expects to be back.
Are you planning to be the coach of the team next year?
Yeah, I think I got 2 years left. So,
given the tenor of what you've seen happen in the last 2 or 3 days, where coaches of the year, guys with titles.
Yeah, no one's safe in our business, and I get that.
Nobody has blown more 3-1 leads or 3-2 leads as a head coach than Doc Rivers. Ouch. Also got a no-show performance, though, from 2 of his stars. 855-212-4CBS. Two-Ton Tony is in the chat. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio asks, Perloff, are you depressed?
Definitely. But not that, I tried to psych myself into being okay, win or lose, and I did feel it. Now, Tom Perloff, my father, had the perfect strategy.
What was that?
He nailed it.
What did he do?
Called him at around 8 o'clock to wish my mother a happy Mother's Day. We bought her flowers. Dad, we didn't get a chance to talk to you after the game. What did you think? He thought the game was started at 8 o'clock because he had read a report earlier in the week that was going to be the night game on Sunday.
He missed the whole thing.
Missed the whole thing, and he said the Inquirer. He said the Inquirer, because my dad still reads the print paper, did not have the time, so he thought it was at 8 o'clock and missed the whole game. And I'm like, he's like, yeah. So I finally we got home for Mother's Day, whatever. He was at my brother's house, and he's like, what happened? I missed the game. No, isn't that the greatest stroke of luck ever?
Better off. He saved himself so much angst and agita. Tom actually could have a nice Sunday, but he's not totally wrong. So it was all based on whether or not the Lakers and the Warriors were going to go 7. If the Lakers-Warriors had gone 7, they were getting the Sunday afternoon, and the Sixers were going to get the late game.
Well, the NBA did not do a great job of communicating that because Tom Perloff did not know. But nobody takes a Sixers loss harder than my dad. So it was great. I was so happy for him because he missed it.
Wow. He can just enjoy his day without blissfully unaware that the Sixers had already choked. Oh boy. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. We will get to you. We promise. Coming up, we got a lot more to do today, including a major announcement that will impact the next NFL season. So we've got that for you as well. Your thoughts on the 76ers choke job and maybe some nice things to say to Perloff today. You know, make him feel better.
Yeah.
Less depressed about the Sixers.
Yeah, good luck with that.
855-212-4CBS. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Now, Manny.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I hope the 76ers did not ruin your weekend like they did mine. Ruin your Mother's Day. I mean, you had an okay Mother's Day despite James Harden and Joel Embiid having a bad game.
I know. Somehow I was able to press through and still enjoy my Mother's Day.
Well, happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a nice time.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I'm miserable and I'm sick of it. The only debate I had is who to blame. And it was Doc Rivers, who loses every Game 7, or James Harden, who loses every Game 7, or Joel Embiid, who is great in the regular season but can't get over the hump in the playoffs. It's hard to blame any of them because there's just something so predictable about all of this.
Well, how about blaming all of them?
Blame for what, though? Like, I can't blame James Harden because I've seen this for 14 years. What did I think all of a sudden he was going to become a different player?
I think that maybe Daryl Morey deserves some blame.
Well, yes, except that he did get rid of Ben Simmons, who was even worse in part of the Harden deal.
And has been more ineffective. At least Harden did win you Game 1 and was very good in Game 4. But he is who he is. And nobody should have been surprised by Harden. I think Embiid, I just hope Embiid doesn't go the way of Harden, where all of a sudden Embiid gets the reputation of not showing up in these big games. And Doc Rivers, I mean, listen, his reputation is set in stone. He's a championship-winning coach. No one can ever take that away from him, but he will forever be known as a guy who blew big leads.
Yeah, blew series leads.
Yep.
Yeah, the thing about Joel, I just keep saying he doesn't have the ball in his hand, so you can't blame him like James Harden. Like, the James Harden choke jobs are more noticeable.
Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Mark in Miami here to rub it in Perloff's face, Mark?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Now, actually, I would have preferred the Sixers against the Heat. I think it would have been a much easier matchup, but I just wanted to talk about Doc Rivers. To me, is the most overrated, fraudulent coach in all of sports. He's basically winning off the one title. He's Mike McCarthy. He won the title. He can win a lot of regular season games, but he's not a good coach. And the Sixers lost that game in Game 6. You knew as soon as they lost that game, it was over for them, because how Embiid doesn't get the ball in the last 3 minutes of that game when you have the Celtics on the ropes to eliminate them and head to the Eastern Conference Finals and to blow that lead in the fourth quarter, it was over. To me, if I'm management, I get rid of him. I get rid of Morey. I bring in Monty Williams, who got a raw deal basically because a new owner came into town. You expect this guy to coach the Suns out when you gave up half your roster for KD and without Ayton and Paul. So I think that's a move they make. As far as the Eastern Conference Final, guys, it's a rematch. The Heat can avenge this series. I think the Heat are going to win this in 6. The way they lost last year in Game 7 with Jimmy Buckets missing that final shot to put it away, I think he was stewing about that all offseason, guys. And everybody's going to pick Boston, but let's not remind you, Spo gives Boston more trouble than anybody, so I expect them to win. And then the other series, I think Aaron Gordon's going to be the X factor. I think his versatility is going to give LeBron a lot of trouble, and I think Jamal Murray is going to cook in that series. So I think it's going to be a Denver Heat series. But, guys, just finishing out there, do you think they actually pull the trigger and move him out? Because Harden's not going to be back. I expect them to go after Monty Williams or Nick Nurse to be the next Sixers coach. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Mark, thanks a lot there. And I agree with the whole thing about Game 6. You could have fired Doc after Game 6.
But by the way, it wasn't lead. They were trailing the whole game. They got hot, used all their energy to get a 2-point lead. Then they blew it. It wasn't like they were winning that game.
No. But the idea that Embiid didn't touch the ball for the last 5 minutes.
But also Embiid was exhausted.
But that's fireable offense.
But Embiid's out of shape. That's what happens.
Well,
and that's the problem with him, dude. He's got to say no to McDonald's for an entire offseason.
I don't think it's about the Mickey D's. I think that that's also on Doc. Because if he's out of shape or if he doesn't have the wind, then you've got to be a bit more strategic in how you're going to deploy him to make sure he's as fresh as possibly he can possibly be. He's not Steph Curry, and even Steph Curry ran out of gas. He's not one of those guys, so you got to make sure that he gets a little rest.
Well, his minutes have been creeping up since the injury. But I'll tell you one thing, like a lot of coaches and a lot of people in Philadelphia have worked on Joel Embiid's fitness and not had success. So I'm not going to blame Doc on that one. Part of that's on Joel. If he wants to be an MVP and a champion, then he's got to really dedicate. Look at LeBron. He spends 38 and spends $1 million on his body every year. Do you get the sense that Embiid's doing that?
It's so hard to tell because of the injuries. We will get to Monty Williams, though, getting a raw deal in Phoenix. And if you're a fan of the Phoenix Suns and your new owner is sitting next to Isaiah Thomas and taking any kind of advice from Isaiah on how to run a team, that's a disaster.
I don't totally agree with you on that, but we'll get to it later.
Isaiah's an all-time great player.
No, Isaiah.
He's a disaster as a front office person.
1,000% agree on Isaiah. I think Monty Williams could not figure out his rotations against the Nuggets. I thought
he didn't have anyone to play.
Well,
the team was decimated.
Yes, but I think he played the wrong guys. And that's why I want Nick Nurse to coach the Sixers. Just because I don't remember him failing more recently. Like it was a few years ago.
Yeah, so if Kevin Durant doesn't tear his Achilles, I don't think he's a championship coach. That's just me. Jesse is in Oregon, wants to talk about the game yesterday. Jesse, what's up?
That third quarter, you know how many times, and Perloff, I thought of you the whole time. I was like, well, they're not going to win because Perloff said they weren't going to win. How many times they drove to the basket? Harden had free layups. I counted like 4 times in a row. He had walked into the basket and then turned and passed out for a 3, got to the hoop, turned, passed out for a 3, and all those threes were missed.
Yep.
And I thought, were they doing that because the lead was just getting away from them and they just thought that only threes could get them back in? Because if they would have just made all those layups, the Boston was basically giving them free layups. And Harden did have the ball a ton in that third quarter, and he cooked all the way to the basket and then turn and give it to a guy to miss a 3. I just thought, that was odd, and I was wondering what you thought about that.
Yeah, no, in the third quarter, during that 33-10 run. Yeah, I totally agree with Jesse. They were hunting for threes, and they missed them all. And a lot of those shots they missed were not that hard, the threes.
Corner threes, they had them.
They just couldn't hit them. They weren't following through on their shots. They looked tired. I think Harden, I'm not sure he could have finished all those underneath because he was gassed, too. I understand what he's saying. He did look like he was getting to the hole. But then they started hunting threes, and that's when it all fell apart.
You want to know how many free throw attempts James Harden took yesterday?
Yeah.
2.
But he was trying to get more fouls. The officials were not having it.
They were not having it, but 2.
Yeah.
2, not optimal.
No.
That's someone who has got to live at the line. Anthony is in South Carolina. Thinks this is about more than just the 76ers. What's up, Anthony? How are you?
Hey, Maggie. Mother's Day, girl.
Oh, thanks.
Perloff, I'm not going to kick you while you're down, brother.
Sounds like you are.
I think you're about to wind up.
No, I got a little respect for you guys. I'm not going to do that, but it's the city of Philly has a curse. I know you're not going to admit it, but come on, look at the baseball. You guys made it to the finals, couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Get to the Super Bowl, can't make it. You get to third round, you can't make it. You're second place. First place losing city. I mean, I don't want to kick you while you're down, brother. Cheer up. It's always going to happen next year. Just don't dwell on it. Don't break it down. Don't play figures. It's the city of Philly, dog.
Well,
it's bigger than you, Perloff. That's what Anthony said.
Anthony,
Thank you.
I always thought that. I always thought the Phillies was cursed. It was never going to win a title. Then the Eagles with Nick Foles beat the Patriots. And I thought the curse was lifted.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was as surprised as anyone that Eagles team won. So I'm like, Philly teams don't win games like this. I know what he's talking about. But I will say this run of coming in second place, it's going to sound like loser mentality. It's actually been quite fun because last year's Phillies had no right to be in the World Series.
Yeah.
They won 87 games. No right. The Eagles also were a little bit ahead of schedule. Did anyone say Jalen Hurts is going to be an MVP candidate and they're going to go mano a mano with Patrick Mahomes? And who's the third team that lost?
The Union.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah.
I'm not going to
lose sleep over the half of the time.
Yeah, I claim if they would just get over the hump. So there is a sense of being cursed, but I thought these teams overachieved a little bit. So I'm not really going to kill them.
Well, here's a question: what did Philly do to deserve a curse?
Philly.
Is this the process because you angered the basketball gods? I can't be because the Eagles did win. It was throwing the snowballs at Santa. I mean, or was it the batteries? What did you guys throw at Santa? Snowballs. And batteries.
Snowballs at Santa. They threw batteries at another game, I think against the Browns or something. But the curse, the fact that every team is competitive right now except the Flyers is pretty awesome. I'm feeling like we're in a bit of a good spot for Philly. Is that such a loser mentality?
Major loser energy.
Which of these teams is supposed to win? Who's disappointed?
You have the MVP.
In what sport? In
basketball.
We have Doc Rivers or James Harden. How on earth are we going to win the NBA title?
That's not what you were saying on Friday.
I said we had a chance in Game 7. Jimmy Butler, I would have bet my entire mortgage if Butler was going to beat the Sixers, let alone LeBron. I mean, come on. So we might have beaten. This Celtics team was playing pretty bad. They were not looking good this series. This was the Sixers' opportunity. But then the Celtics woke up and played like last year's Celtics, and it was quickly over. Well, you the one who told me Joe Mazzulla couldn't coach.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out with him against Spoelstra, because that is a place where Miami has a definite advantage.
You think, although.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Joe Mazzulla seemed to hit the right buttons yesterday.
I think it was Jason Tatum was all of a sudden just on one. He couldn't miss. Even after some of the shots, it was like he was throwing up a Jordan shrug. Like, I'm just as surprised as you are.
Wow. I mean,
humbly, he's one of the best players ever.
We were still in it. It was 55-55 in the third quarter. And then I just remember the moment, Derek White and Brogdon hit back-to-back threes. And you could see the body language on the Sixers just went away.
I know.
Once they started to lose, they lost confidence.
It's really awful to see with Embiid, because I think there are a lot of people outside of Philadelphia who are rooting for Embiid. He's a likable guy. I think people are rooting for him, and when his body language gets bad and they do this kind of BS and they don't just go out and take it like they did not fail to do in Game 6, and then in Game 7, it's disappointing. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I'm disappointed by association. It's not even my team, and I'm depressed today.
Yeah, but you can't. I'll tell you right now. You follow them more, and you'll get used to it. Follow this team. You'll be well aware of what the second-round exit. I mean, this is a team that lost to Atlanta in the second round. That was bad.
I remember. 855-212-4CBS. See you guys on the phones. Want you to weigh in today. It's about you. It's about Perloff, but it's about you. Make them feel better. Or worse.
Hey.
Ackerman gave it a meh. All right, we do have NFL news. We will get to that as well. A lot to do today. Glad you're with us on Maggie and Perloff. You want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. If you're new to the show, hit subscribe underneath the video box. The closer we get to 1,000 new subscribers, that's when the Carson Wentz poster that's behind Perloff gets destroyed live on our show. But we need 1,000 new subscribers to make it happen. Help us achieve this goal. Or help me, I guess. Perloff doesn't want the Wentz poster to get destroyed. I do. Come along with me on the ride. We're going to get medieval on this thing. But we need your help. Subscribe, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. We're back with more after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. The NBA has the night off before the conference finals begin tomorrow night in the West in Denver, while the Celtics now have a couple of days to regroup after rallying to beat the Sixers in 7. Duke's Jeremy Roach returning to school for his senior year, and there's still another game to determine the Western Conference Finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Stars host the Kraken in Game 7. Dallas squandered a chance to advance Saturday, losing Game 6. Stars head coach Pete DeBoer confident his team will be able to bounce back.
We've played almost 100 games. We started this journey back in September. These guys aren't ready for our season to end yet, so they'll be ready to play.
The winner moves on to face the Vegas Golden Knights. Baseball today, the Dodgers go for their 6th in a row, and they host the Twins with Noah Syndergaard on the mound, while the Braves look to bounce back after being swept in Toronto. They'll open a series in Texas. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Jim Rome here. Coming up Tuesday in the Jungle, a conversation with Atlanta Falcons head coach Arthur Smith. See you Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern and 9 Pacific.
you're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply check out the link, cbssportsradio.com/askthepros, or tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio using the hashtag AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Maggie has asked you to call in to make fun of me. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You can say whatever you want, but don't tell me the process failed. I will not accept that, because the process, the guy who did the process, Sam Hinkie, the former GM, was fired in 2016.
Yeah, eternity.
The number of mistakes the 76ers have made since then can't be counted on two hands. So, listen, I know, but there's a lot of blame to go around. It wasn't all the process.
I understand, but I saw a lot of the process worked when Joel Embiid got that MVP award. And so you can't have it both ways.
I didn't say that.
855-212-4CBS. Chad's in Portland wants to weigh in on the 76ers in the process. Hey, Chad, how are you?
Hey, Maggie. Hey, Perloff. Love your show. Been listening for a bit now. I was a Sixers fan growing up, man. I love Moses Malone, love Dr. J, loved my years with Allen Iverson, but I moved to the West Coast, and shortly after they started this process baloney, started moving away from them. And it's just ridiculous, man. Embiid is not some process. This garbage commercial where he's 1 in a million. 1 in a million to what? Make it to the Western Conference semifinals? What a joke. I'm out. Thanks, guys.
Chad, he's kind of right.
About what?
Just like it's I mean, he is 1 in a million. Embiid's story is great. I don't want this to take away from his story, but I understand what Chad is saying, where it's like, all right, enough. Like, at some point, you got to prove you're an all-time great player if that's what you think. You know, like
yeah. I mean, here's the question: is he closer to Russell Westbrook and James Harden, MVPs who are not good in the playoffs, or, I mean, okay, is he any different?
Or is he closer to Giannis?
Why are we ripping Joker? I mean, he's won 2 MVPs and has not gone past the conference finals.
Here's why: last year, Joker's team was terrible. 1 and 2.
Who's Embiid have around him? He's got a bunch of scrubs.
No, but they were injured. You guys are at full strength. There's nobody.
Full strength of what? PJ Tucker's 100 years old.
That was touted as one of the great signings of the offseason.
I do love my PJ Tucker.
Because he was going to bring the toughness. What, did he go on vacation yesterday? No, he hit a couple threes.
But you're telling me, why did Joker get a pass because Jamal Murray was hurt?
And Michael Porter.
But Michael Porter's always hurt. He's not a guy.
I'm just saying, you don't have starters or like rotation players who are currently in street clothes. So that was last year for Joker. And then the other thing is that the Nuggets right now probably look like the best team left.
Yeah.
Maybe if you count yesterday's Celtics team, if they're playing like that, then they maybe look like the best team left. So I think people aren't going to write off Jokic right now. Let's just see what they do this playoffs. Okay. If he loses to the Lakers, I bet he's going to get a lot of criticism.
Okay. I don't even know how we got started on this. And maybe so
you're deflecting.
So should I root for Joker or against Joker? I should root against Joker to make Embiid look better.
I would, if I were you, yes. I would root against Joker.
Done.
Which actually dovetails nicely with the Lakers bet that you made.
I know. To win the title. I'm actually putting more money on the Lakers to win this series because they're pretty big underdogs. So you can win more money on the Lakers. Vegas is not quite there yet, so I'm going to try and take advantage, although the Nuggets are so good, Maggie. They're really good.
They are, but the Suns also were. How real was that?
The Suns were G-leaguing it all over the court. I don't even know. Jock Landau and crew, they were really good.
Jock Landau and crew. Tom is in Harrisburg. He's got a wild idea. What's up, Tom? How are you?
Well, I know it probably will never happen, but I want to ask Perloff and you if you would trade Joel Embiid for Luka.
Oh. You want to kill Perloff?
Yes. I'm not a Luka guy, but yes.
Oh,
yes.
I thought you would say no. You hate players like Luka.
Well, Luka's like 23 years old. I mean, he is so young. I would do that in a second, but I don't think the Mavs would do that because I think they'd be worried about Embiid's health moving forward. So, do you think they would do that? Because I think it's too much.
I'm a big believer that Joel's had his chance. You just can't keep making excuses every year.
Yeah,
I'm with Tom.
I've heard and seen on Twitter a bunch of people saying, "What if whoever gets Wembanyama, would you trade Embiid to that team for Wembanyama?
Wait, hold on one sec. Tom, thank you for the call. Whoever gets Victor Wembanyama,
Victor Wembanyama, the presumed number 1 pick.
He's the prodigy coming out of France who is 7'5", maybe, and got all the skill set in the world. You're going to be hearing a lot about him starting tomorrow because it's the NBA draft lottery.
Yeah, would you trade, whoever gets him, would you trade Joel Embiid to that team for Wembanyama? Joel and a bunch of other guys.
Why would the team who wins the draft lottery, why would they ever do that? You got a lottery ticket with Wembanyama.
Because you could get a 29-year-old MVP.
Yeah, but everyone knows that Embiid's had so much injury history. You can't do that. The one thing is Wembanyama going to be like Chet Holmgren? Like, they got a crazy body type.
Yeah. So, by the way, we're going to get into Wembanyama. So, show me the other 7'5", 195-pound guys who've hit. Because I don't remember Sean Bradley hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. I don't remember Chet Holmgren.
Hoisting the Lombardi Trophy? Now, that would be something. Sean Bradley, great red zone option.
He couldn't even lift the Lombardi Trophy, and it's the wrong sport anyway.
That's awesome. That was one team was one Sean Bradley away.
By the way, I think Sean Bradley is sadly great. He was a great effort guy. Anyway, regardless, Wembanyama. We'll get to Wembanyama, but I'm not telling him. But God, you won't even let me trade the reigning MVP for a number 1 pick. What is going on? You're probably right, but darn it.
The Luka thing is interesting.
No, the Mavericks wouldn't do that. They can't. Luka's 24.
And honestly, if I'm the Mavs, I want Maxey more than I want Embiid.
Yeah.
Maxey is the real. He's the prize here.
No, you would want Embiid more, I think. Maxey's good, but he's not so special. Embiid, with the right team around Embiid, I think you could do something. I really do. But you need a lot. You need the right kind of team.
And I got to tell you, the clock's ticking here.
He's 29.
Okay, Pete is in Erie, Pennsylvania, and wants to cheer Perloff up. Hey, Pete, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. What do you have to cheer up Perloff?
Well, the Sixers, they have such a watchable team. I mean, I'm a longtime Knicks fan, and they haven't been good since '99. And I mean, I could watch the Sixers. They've had a better run at it than the Knicks. I mean, this year being an anomaly.
That's true. That's the only thing you're going to cheer Perloff of. At least they're not the Knicks. By the way, they made it to the same round as the Knicks this year. Just FYI.
Well, I mean, you look at the Sixers, and I mean, they kind of choke, but I mean, they've historically the last 10 years they've done a lot better than the Knicks.
But Pete, everyone's done better than the Knicks. Pete, the logic there.
Pete, you cheered me up. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Well, by the way, 2 years ago when the Knicks were in the playoffs, they lost in the first round to the Atlanta Hawks, and guess who the Hawks beat in the second round? Hint, it rhymes with Schmevany Schmixers.
Whatever. I'd rather. There are high school teams that I like more than the Knicks, so I'm totally down with what he's saying.
Jalen Brunson is easy to root for. He's doing everything he can out there.
Yeah.
But
man,
Randall is impossible.
I resent all of this.
Man, I got to tell you,
Manny, you know better than anybody.
Young people watching that Jalen Brunson game, it's electrifying to watch him bully into the lane and hold on to the ball all the time. Get out of here. The Knicks have zero entertainment value. That guy was right. The Sixers fans should feel good.
When you watch the Knicks Heat first, and then you watch the Lakers Warriors, it's like, these are different. I'm watching different things here. Yeah. I'm watching one game that is very slow and very half-court, and I'm watching one game that is incredibly entertaining and really fast-paced.
Yes.
It was stark when the games were on back-to-back on Friday.
Yeah, except the Golden State, though. Oof, that was bad.
Yes, that was terrible. We'll get to Golden State quickly. Phil's in Pennsylvania. The Sixers curse, Phil, you think it's real?
No, not really. I really don't care. I didn't watch a second of that game.
Okay.
But anyway, I'd like to educate you guys on the real story behind the Eagles and Santa Claus and that situation.
Oh, go ahead.
It was really cold, and Santa was completely drunk. He was on the sidelines stumbling and falling over, which is why he got booed and snowballs thrown at him because it was just a horrible representation around Christmas time. And the Eagles fan took exception to that.
Wait a minute, Phil. Are you defending people throwing snowballs at Santa?
when they act like that and Santa Claus is drunk on the field? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That was a bad Santa.
What about two wrongs don't make a right?
That's a real life bad Santa. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Phil, thank you, pal. Good to hear from you.
Can I even step up, defend Eagles fans a little bit on the Michael Irvin thing? So Michael Irvin was on the ground. Everyone thought he possibly was paralyzed, and they were cheering. Totally classless. But you have to understand one thing about Eagles fans: the respect they had for Michael Irvin. Like Michael Irvin single-handedly killed them in so many games. Like they really, really respected Michael Irvin. So I know that's terrible. It's not an excuse, but he was like the one guy the Eagles feared the most.
You know, I'm actually surprised from Phil that that's the real story because
that's been so well documented about that Santa.
But here's why. So I grew up going to Bills games.
Yeah.
Basically, you could bookmark it from November to the end of December.
Yeah.
There was one idiot who dressed up like Santa, who was drunk out of his mind, who ran onto the field and got tackled by security every single home game.
Yeah,
I thought this just happens all the time at football games.
No, but this guy was planned. He was sort of part of a whole thing. You've never seen
a drunk Santa at a football game? News at 11, guys.
It's not a drunk Santa. It was the drunk Santa who was part of the presentation.
Jeez, Philly now all of a sudden such a high bar for your Santas.
The Santa thing was no big deal.
Coming up, why this playoff run for LeBron means something different.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie's been on vacation, and do you remember how headphones work, Maggie? I'm just curious here.
Not.
Are you concussed right now? What just happened?
Oh, we caught on the live stream. Great. I'm like literally crying.
It looked like you were putting on your headphones and one flip out your ear and hit you in the face. Are you okay?
No, my eyes are like tearing because I hit myself in the face with the headphones. We'll find it and we'll put it out on social media.
Is it going to be a situation where you're going to have a black eye tomorrow and everyone's going to think you're Maggie? I was trying to put on my headphones.
Yeah, right. That's a bad excuse. Like something's going on at home. No, everything's fine.
Luckily, we have it on the live stream, so we don't have to worry about it.
My eyes, it's pretty bad, right? Getting hit in the face with the headphones.
No.
I know. Ow.
Do you need some ice? Do you want us to run and get you some ice?
No, I don't want anything. I want to hear this Kawhi Leonard theory.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
So glad to have you on this Monday. Maggie and Perloff across the country on CBS Sports Radio. Want to watch the show? You can do it. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. I'm just blown away by the Lakers. I'm blown away. I mean, it only was a couple months ago, Perloff, where we thought the high point of the season was probably going to be LeBron passing Kareem. And don't forget, they lost that game to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They couldn't even get a W. And now here they are in the Western Conference Finals. Like, I'm still shocked a little bit. I'm still blown away that all of this has come together for them. And this is just more LeBron resume fuel for people like me when we do the LeBron Jordan debate, which we don't have to do right now. But this is just more fuel. Like, think about what he's doing at 38. He was excellent on Friday night. He's 38 years old. Year 20, we're in like uncharted territory for someone who plays like he does.
You know, the only thing I would disagree, it feels like it's been a gradual building thing. It felt in February like the Red Sea all of a sudden parted and the Western Conference went up for grabs. A bunch of things.
That's not what people were saying the day that the Durant trade was made. Then it was like, look at now, there's more firepower and star power here in the Western Conference.
They did. Well, no. See, I not long after the Lakers trade deadline, I think they got good reviews at the trade deadline. And then those good reviews, when people saw them play like 3 games, like, woo, all of a sudden, this became great reviews.
Yeah.
But here's what happened, though. You had Ja ran into trouble in Memphis.
And just got in some more trouble over the weekend. We'll get to that.
The Nuggets faded a little bit towards the end.
Yes, but that was also a bit of a calculation. It was like Jokic isn't going to win the third straight MVP. He basically stopped playing defense.
Okay, Sacramento was too young, so no one took them. Phoenix, yes, they were a little scary. And then the Clippers started having injury problems.
But the Warriors were always lurking.
But no, the Warriors were not impressive this year. They
were not.
So that was the other thing. Like, that's why all of a sudden it felt like, whoa, this is anybody. And a lot of people said, even more so than me, like, wow, if LeBron can get into this playoff field, because it wasn't actually that easy for him to even get in. If he could get into this playoff field, there is no dominant team right now. Now, the dominant team was arguably the Nuggets. Nuggets won 53 games this year. They were not dominant. And the Warriors were not the Warriors.
But there was
the Warriors?
But there was always like they could flip a switch. We've seen them do it before. They had this atrocious home road splits, but like this isn't really who they are. We made tons of excuses for the Warriors. And listen, the Warriors, we'll get to them because they're at a crossroads coming up now that they've just lost. But the Lakers needed overtime in the play-in game just to get in the playoffs, and now they're in the Western Conference Finals. Can we just marvel for a moment? And I know they have arguably the greatest player of all time, and they have Anthony Davis, but even the fact that Davis has stayed relatively healthy, knock on wood. I mean, and you mentioned the trades. It's partly the guys from the trades. Like D'Angelo Russell plays obviously some big minutes for them, and Rui Hachimura has become Perloff's favorite player.
He's had a crazy bunch of games. Not lately, but was great in the first series.
But it's like Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker, Schroeder. Like, these are just some sick role players. In this round, it wasn't even really the trade guys who were the difference. It was like dudes who were already in the program.
No, you're absolutely right. But you can't say what a team that comes in, they were about 4th in title odds entering the postseason. I mean, people were on to them and I think that's because of LeBron. And getting into LeBron's legacy, I do think it's almost, I'm taking for granted how amazing LeBron is. Like
Jordan didn't make the playoffs at 38.
Of course not. He was retired.
He was with the Wizards.
No, that doesn't count.
See,
he left his last game. I saw his last game.
Yeah.
It was Bulls versus Utah.
It was a shot over Russell. No. He came back. It happened at 38. He wasn't bad. It's just he couldn't make the playoffs.
That does not count for anything. He was not. His last game was against Utah Jazz, and it was glorious. And I don't even want to hear if you're going to do a LeBron MJ debate and you bring up the Wizards, I'm out automatically.
I gotta bring up the Wizards.
Why? Just because that's like he played in. It's like saying that Yogi Berra and Mickey Mantle were not great Yankees because they struck out in a Legends game 20 games after they retired.
No.
It means nothing. It has nothing to do with Michael Jordan's legacy.
Not true, because we get the 38 to 38. We get the apples to apples.
No.
And
Did you see The Last Dance? Was there any Wizards in there?
Yeah, the one that Michael Jordan produced. No, here's the thing. Even Michael had time off. He had time off during the run of the dynasty, which we all know, of course. And then he had time off after the second retirement before he went back with the Wizards and then retired for a third time. He had all this time off. LeBron's been playing straight through.
Yeah, but, first of all,
finals
hasn't LeBron had 2 seasons where he's played part-time kind of?
Well, he got hurt.
Yeah, sort of. The groin injury, I don't know how hurt he was.
Okay, but that's not going to play baseball.
Okay.
Totally different. Or going to own a team and then deciding to come back and play for said team, which he did in Washington.
So why can't we, here's the thing, why can't we just enjoy LeBron for doing something unprecedented for a 38-year-old? Why do we have to bring it into the LeBron-Jordan debate?
Because it's people who are will not even entertain the idea that LeBron could be remembered as the greater player than Jordan. This is why these moments have to be brought up in context, like with the other person. Because there are some people, it's like politics in this country, but it's like some people you just cannot change their mind no matter what. And I'm giving you some more evidence here because LeBron isn't done playing.
Well, right, but the peak LeBron is past and the peak Jordan is past, so we can compare those two.
Yeah, but LeBron, it's not like he's, the 8th guy off the bench right now.
No, he's great.
It might not be the peak, but he's still, if they win this title, it's no one's going to say that LeBron wasn't instrumental in it. He's the second best player on the team.
He'll be the second best player on the team. Can you imagine Michael Jordan being the second best player on a team? That's unthinkable.
No, but I also, if maybe Michael, if he could have been the second best player on a team and they put the team together better, maybe he would have had a 38-year-old season closer to LeBron, but he couldn't.
Thank God he didn't, because that would have watered down. To have Michael Jordan be the second best player on a championship team would have taken away from his legacy.
Here's the thing, though, also. It's like, it's weird to say LeBron's the second best player because this Lakers team, it's kind of like spread out. Everyone's playing their role so well. I still think he's the most important player they have.
Well, okay, he's scoring 23 points a game in this postseason. I think there is this narrative that Anthony Davis has to be the best player for them to win. I think there's some truth to that.
Okay, but Davis didn't have a big offensive game in the second half of Game 6, and they still closed him out.
But they were going against an undermanned Golden State team. Now they have to face some height. It's a completely different series.
It will.
You have to admit, I mean, what was Golden State do? Where was Golden State's big guys? What kind
They don't have any.
How could they have done this? I felt like Bob Myers, who might be leaving now, the GM, I feel like he deserves a lot of heat because they came in without any firepower.
Well, it's interesting. Is it the general manager? Sure, I can see that. But also, they had 3 lottery picks.
Yep.
One's not on the team anymore, and Wiseman.
Yep.
And Kuminga and Moody were not really playable in this series.
Moody actually showed a little bit, but
that's development. And I know Steve Kerr's an all-time coach, but isn't that development and chemistry and making sure you find roles for guys?
I think what happened, same thing happened to my Sixers during the process. They just happened to be in these terrible, terrible drafts. I mean, the draft has been a real crapshoot lately. Notice you see all these undrafted players on all these teams right now. The draft is completely unreliable. I don't know why, but James Wiseman, there was nobody drafted behind him. Let me just read the guys who were drafted behind him. He was second overall pick. Anthony Edwards was 1. Great, T. Willis. Then James Wiseman. 3 was LaMelo Ball. They couldn't have him. How could they fit him into that team?
No, they won.
Then it was Patrick Williams on the Bulls, was a 4 pick. Remember that shooting guard? Isaac Okoro, who's barely playable. Then basically nobody who's really doing anything. Tyrese Halliburton, who's another point guard.
Well, Halliburton's good.
Yeah, but then again, the Warriors, they need size. They have plenty of point guard play. So my point is they just kind of ran into a tough one. They need to get big. Watch this offseason, by the way, Maggie. I guarantee that whoever's running the Warriors will get so much size and be looking at this Lakers series and say, if we just had enough big guys, we could have done something.
Okay, but that doesn't really grow on trees. Like the Warriors now have a lot to figure out, because as the Lakers move on now to play the Nuggets, the Warriors have a little soul searching to do, because what do you do with the core where you have Clay and Draymond, who are both eligible for extensions? Are you extending those guys? There was a moment in Game 6 when the Warriors cut it to 11 and Klay Thompson had back-to-back three-point attempts and front-ended both of them. And Lakers came down the other way and scored, and basically that was it. It pushed the lead, back up to 13 or whatever, and then the Lakers never looked back. Are you extending Klay? Are you keeping the core together for what, nostalgia's sake?
No, I mean, Klay will give you once every 3 games, he'll give you something good. How about you add some real front court defense and see what happens? And you don't need Klay as much. I have a player in mind.
Who's that?
Their version of Aaron Gordon, who the Nuggets have. They can't get Aaron Gordon, but a guy who's 6'8", who can cover anyone from LeBron to KD, can be versatile. They need somebody like that.
Okay.
Do you have anybody like that?
No, I thought you had somebody.
I do. His name is Aaron Gordon.
I thought you were setting up to be like, and I've got the guy.
No.
His name is da-da-da.
They need a guy they need a 6'9" guy who can cover anyone from a 3 to a 5 and can hit a 3-pointer.
Who's available
in this very thin free agent class.
Or who wants to, it could be traded for Jordan Poole.
Yes. And who the Suns don't manage to get, because the Suns need 3 of those guys.
Yeah. The Suns are going to be poaching everyone because they have no draft pick.
I'll tell you who people can have. They can have DeAndre Ayton, they can have Jordan Poole, and they can have James Harden.
Great. That's the inner circle right there. Those are the winners. I mean, these are all guys who their teams would unload in a heartbeat if they could. Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know about Harden. He and Morey have some kind of cosmic connection or something.
And Harden has a player option to become a free agent. But it's going to be an interesting offseason for all these teams, because I think the Warriors are going to look at that Lakers series and say, we had an opportunity here, and we were outmanned.
Let's listen to Steve Kerr, shall we, Manny? Steve Kerr, well, he understands why the Warriors didn't win this time around. Pretty simple if you ask him.
To be fair, I think this team probably, ultimately maxed out. This is not a championship team. If we were, we'd be moving on.
See, I get it.
Hard to argue.
Hard to argue that logic. However, it's the same team from last year.
Yes,
same team.
No, it's not.
Okay, Wiggins had a broken rib or whatever. Okay, that's a little bit different, although he was injured last year in the playoffs.
And
team was the same.
And there was more. What,
the punch?
The punch.
Okay, but the punch was months ago.
Also, it seemed like there had to be somebody defensively who was missing. Did they have the same exact team? Felt like they were just so much thinner on defense. And they didn't run into a big team at all.
Well, they beat the Nuggets.
Yeah, but that team was...
They were undermanned.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It feels like there was something going on all year long. There were so many problems.
See, the thing is about the punch, though, it's kind of hard for me. Thank you. Is that a little Draymond? It's hard for me to say, there were moments when Jordan Poole was, first of all, hurt a lot this year. But secondly, he did have some high points this year. And if that never got resolved with the punch, then, we can't blame a punch that happened before the season began about why they lost in 6 games to the Lakers. Unless we think something was really rotten all year long, the coaches couldn't do anything about it, the players couldn't do anything about it, and then maybe the Warriors culture isn't as great as we think. Because they had months to resolve that. So, it's hard for me to just say that it was the punch is the reason they lost. 855-212 for CBS. All right, we're cheering up Perloff today because his 76ers took a big L against the Celtics last night in Game 7. Big Dave's on the line. He's got a solution for Perloff's Sixers. Hey, Dave.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Listen, before I get to that, though, so McLovin, let me get this straight. Your justification for the Eagles fans booing a possibly paralyzed player was out of their immense respect for him?
No, it's terrible to boo a possibly paralyzed player, but you have to understand, Michael Irvin is on the Mount Rushmore of Eagles opponents. Like, if it was some scrubby player, nobody would have said anything. It was like, I'm just saying, just randomly, there was real respect for Michael Irvin. That's all I'm saying, Dave. And it's probably totally tacky for me to say that, but that's the way people felt.
Dave, that's the way people in Philly show respect. I'm just kidding. It was crazy. Yeah. What do you got out the Sixers?
Listen, for the record, back in my elementary and high school days, I was a huge Sixers fan. I was post-Afro Dr. J. Wore his number, shot the free throws like him.
Wow, did you have those kind of skills, Dave?
Well, on a much smaller level.
At least you can admit
it. But anyway, listen. The Sixers, McLovin, the solution is right under your nose, man, to take them to the next level.
Okay.
That he sits in Brooklyn, New York, and his name is Kyrie Irving.
Oh,
Dave.
Surely you just...
Dave.
You just want him off the Mavs.
Doc Rivers, man. Doc Rivers is the type of coach that could deal with Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, ship Harden out, bring Kyrie in. I mean, along with Embiid. Think about it, man. Give that some serious thought and get back to
Dave is trying to sabotage the 76ers. Dave, we see what you're doing. Thank you. When the Warden stops by.
If you're going to get Kyrie, you might as well get Ben Simmons to bring the whole
get the band back together.
The whole group in. Yeah, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. James Harden, Kyrie. You know, the funny thing is Kyrie did win a title, so he kind of ruins the argument. But there are certain players that you don't think will ever win. I think we all agree Kyrie only won because he was with LeBron.
Yeah, but listen, LeBron was also strategic about wanting to go back to the Cavs because Kyrie was there. And he was a young Kyrie, and he had won Rookie of the Year, and he had all this promise, and I think LeBron thought, I can win with Kyrie.
Nah.
He could have just stayed in Miami.
Honestly, I think LeBron carried that team. Kyrie is not a title-winning player in general to me.
I mean, he hit the big shot, but yes.
Okay.
A lot's happened since then, though.
But he's still, he's got a lot. His style of play is a lot like Harden. He just really needs to have the ball in his hand.
Yeah, that's why he and Luka is just not a great fit.
Yeah, that usually does not win a title.
Okay, Jay in Alabama. Oh, Jay. Tough one for you. I know you've been a Harden defender in the past, but that was rough yesterday.
Okay, first of all, Maggie, you're taking shots at me by even calling me that right now.
I'm sorry. I mean no disrespect.
And Maggie, I don't know why you're talking about Philadelphia having a curse when you're from Buffalo.
Oh, believe me, I'm dead and buried, Jay. I already know.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't like being mean to you, but I was gonna say you need to tattoo YKK on your mouth and zip it. But
listen, Jay, I'm not just the Bills, the Mets. I'm cursed forever. I do this to myself.
I'm a Mets fan too, so don't worry. I'm a Mets fan since Dwight Gooden and all that.
Yeah.
But as far as Perloff, I don't know why we're trying to make Perloff feel better. This is all his fault anyway. I may not have a solid reason why now, but I'm gonna come up with an algorithm. It's either gonna be a sorting algorithm or just divide and conquer. It's gonna have a big old notation with Perloff's name in the middle of it.
Jay,
I'm gonna figure something out by the end of 2023 of why it's Perloff's fault.
Let me help you out here.
What's up?
Just admit you were wrong about James Harden. I've done it before too. Just admit you were wrong.
Nah, you know what? I pride myself on admitting when I'm wrong, and I was straight, absolutely just beneath it wrong. I was so wrong. It was dude, I was just so wrong. It was just like somebody telling me not to eat the curdled milk, and I didn't. Not to drink the curdled milk. Not drink it anyway.
You chugged it.
Just chugged it. But, as far as the coach, and I don't like kicking somebody while they're down or piling on, but he needs to be gone by at least Tuesday midnight. You know what I mean? Yeah. He needs to be gone by Tuesday midnight. And you know what made it so bad? I turned that game off I was in the middle of a public shopping center, and when Harden committed that, I'm trying to be nice to people, do my shopping, do my job, and then Harden committed that technical foul. Right then, I knew it was over, and I turned it off. I turned it off because I was about to cuss somebody out for no reason in the middle of the supermarket. I got in the car, and it was about the end of the third, and I was like, let me turn on and see what the score is. Your counterpart on the weekend, Bart Winkler, was on. And as soon as he came on, he was like, I'm not even a Philly fan, and I am mad. And then he went on breaking down while Philly was losing all the bad. He pointed out, he's like, 3 of these guys on Boston's team is really supposed to be on Philly's team. But because of these drafts, their GM, he went through Ben Simmons, he went through Markelle Fultz. He just started. It made it so pathetic. I mean, I have 2 words for the whole thing. It's pathetic believer. That's what I feel like, a pathetic believer.
Well, Jay, I mean, you're not the first person to get felled by by Harden.
Jay, I think I can make you mad about something else later in the show. I'm going to present to Maggie.
Be even more madder.
I'm going to present to Maggie why Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer. I have a feeling you will disagree with me on that.
You know what? I'm not even suffering myself. I'm not suffering succotash of myself like that. I'm leaving that alone. Just Perloff, don't even do it. I don't even care about Matt Ryan. So I just get out of here with that. But yeah, you were right, Perloff. I was like, Perloff was right. And you know what? I know Zach Gelb is going to be on his show probably today. Like we tried to tell Jay 2 years in a row not to root for this dude. I'm never rooting for anybody ever again after. I'm just going back to my little web development world, my JavaScript, my CSS, my HTML, and I was just at Facebook right now. I've been trying to call you all day, but if you're around Facebook, your calls will drop automatically. But, I mean, I'm just living my life.
We're spiraling.
I'm staying away from all this.
Listen, you're going to come up with the algorithm, Jay. You're going to figure out a way that this is Perloff's fault. Thank you for the phone call. You've got your marching orders, and I believe that Jay will figure out a way to circle this all back around.
No, he fell for
likable Elon Musk. Jay.
He fell for James Harden. I mean, listen, I have friends in Houston who did it maybe 8 years ago, but there's no excuse now. Wherever he goes next, and hopefully it's not Philadelphia, the same thing's going to happen, Maggie. Same thing's going to happen.
It's just who he is. Coming up, the latest on Ja Morant. What is next for the young star? We got all that for you in just a moment. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Finally feeling a little better about my Sixers losing.
Oh, good.
One thing I did not feel good about, there was a big distraction this weekend. Sunday morning, go on to my phone, and Ja Morant is trending, and that's not good. So there was an Instagram Live where Ja Morant was rapping along with his friend, and there was you could see there was a gun in his hand. Of course, Ja Morant was suspended during the season and was supposedly working on it. So that really took over the basketball weekend in a weird way, because I think all the focus should have been on the games. That, for me, at least on my timeline, Maggie, on Twitter, it was half Ja Morant and half the actual games.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't even been 2 months. I mean, the guy sat down and said after the nightclub incident in Denver, "This isn't me." And then literally the exact same thing happens. Like 2 months later, this is you know?
He said so many other things, too. He said that he was working on himself, and he said so many things. Because he was gone for 8 days. He said he's completely looked at everything in his life, and this is how he's dealing with stress. If you look back at his quotes, you're right. They look so silly.
Because I don't think anyone at the time, and you and I said this at the time, and I'm not trying to kick Ja Morant while he's down, but this is so disingenuous from him. Because you and I said at the time, if he has really worked through all of his issues about anxiety or whatever it is in 8 days, he should be the world's foremost self-help guru that we've ever heard from. That to be able to address, I'm not going to say fix, but address those types of problems in a real way in a week and a half, that never passed the smell test. And I think what was happening, and this is not a surprise, is that the team and the league were trying to protect him a bit. They see Ja Morant's a huge asset for them. He's super, fun to watch. He could be a future face of the league. They don't want him messing around like this and getting in trouble because I think there's a selfish aspect to the NBA wanting Ja to be a marketable star for them. And then I do think there are people who care about him and don't want to see him waste his talent.
Wait. So get back. So you're saying the league before was protecting him? How?
Because we all knew it was crap that you're not cured in 8 days.
So they protected him by bringing him back quicker? Wouldn't protecting him have been to keep him away longer?
No. I think they were trying to insulate, like, hey, this is not that big of a deal. He's going to work on it. There's nothing to see here. We're going to get this fixed. Remember, he did the sit down with Jalen Rose that was like the most vanilla.
Right. But
didn't dive deep under the surface at all.
So that was quite short-sighted. If the NBA really was viewing Ja Morant as an asset to the league, then that was pretty dumb way to do it.
No, I think they want to protect his image. I'm sorry. I think they want to protect his image like, hey, this wasn't that bad.
Right, but that's a short-sighted way of doing it.
It might have been short-sighted, clearly, because it's 2 months later and we're still here. It didn't work. And
well, which, of course, it never would.
Right.
Unless...
Maybe they should have known that.
Well, right. Now, of course, this is playing Monday morning quarterback. But
we said at the time.
Yeah, you and I both knew the 8 days was ridiculous. There's no way.
It'd be impossible. And anyone who's been through even anything halfway through this, you know that it doesn't all get squared away in 8 days. And then the other part is he was going into arguably the most stressful time of year when they were going to the playoffs.
So the other thing, too, what bothers me a little bit is it makes you take away the benefit of the doubt from all the things that were reported about him, that he punched a kid in a pickup game in his backyard, I think.
So he was being sued for that, a 17-year-old kid, and now he's countersuing that kid. So that's a mess.
The fact that there were lasers pointed at Pacers players, that people have alleged were coming from guns.
So his best friend, who is the guy who was recording this Instagram live over the weekend, was the person who was alleged to have the laser pointer. He's been banned from the stadium for a year, I believe.
Right. And then there was also an incident where I think Ja was in a physical altercation with somebody because his mom was shopping at a mall.
Security guy.
Yeah, so now this all looks, if you were going to give Ja Morant the benefit of the doubt, but, I don't blame the league. I don't blame the Grizzlies. I don't blame his friend who insanely turns on that phone camera for Instagram Live. I mean, that guy must be the dumbest person in the world. I blame Ja Morant. It's squarely on him to me. There's no outside parties. This is his deal. He created it. There's no excuses. There's no nothing.
No, you're right about the benefit of the doubt. And I think what's tough about this is, like, we think back, we're like, man, if we were 22 or 23 and we got this incredible opportunity, like, yeah, we'd want to bring all of our friends along with us, because at that age, your friends are like the most important thing in your life. Your friends and your family, but your friends are so important. And the problem is he's not having a quote unquote typical or normal existence, and I don't know if you get to bring everybody with you throughout your life. And maybe he can, and maybe everything will get straightened out.
What do his friends have to do with anything? Who cares what his friends are? He's the one holding the gun in the Instagram. It doesn't matter who his friends are. What do his friends have to do with it?
Well, he has to take responsibility for it, but there is like the company you keep,
I understand.
You and I disagree
but there's tons of NBA players who bring along. Yeah, no, that for me, that feels like if he just had a better crowd around him, he wouldn't make these stupid decisions. No, it's on him.
It is on him 100%. But
100%.
100%. I think there's also, though, influences from people around you, and I think that's obvious. Like, I think that's...
I know what you mean.
I think that's fair. Because I feel like I'm influenced by my friends. Do you feel like you're influenced by yours? I mean... No, at all.
No, I don't. Wow. No, but it's insane to think that if your friends are doing these things, you're the NBA superstar. Why would you put the gun in your hand when the phone is pointing at you? I don't care who your crowd is.
No, he's got to answer for that. And the funny thing, though, is this is where it's interesting. So he's now been suspended from all team activities, but obviously they're deep in the offseason. Like the draft lotteries tomorrow. We're far away from the next season, obviously. So can they really... can he be facing more discipline? The team can do what they want, right? You can do this umbrella conduct detrimental. I mean, you don't have to get so specific. But technically, was he breaking any laws?
So no.
Right. He was in Tennessee, which is an open carry state. You can have a gun in a car. That is not against the law. He wasn't on a team plane. He wasn't on a team bus. None of those things. So what is the league going to do here? Now, I think they could still suspend him because... he obviously was misrepresenting himself before, saying this isn't me, this isn't who I am. Well, it is who you are. So
yeah, I think the league's going to come down heavy. Like, I'm talking 30 games heavy.
Could be more. More like 50. It's 50 if you bring a gun on a team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge.
On a plane or something.
Yeah, maybe. 50 seems pretty heavy. That's basically a season.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be many, many games. Even though, I know there's been a lot of arguments about his Second Amendment rights, but the fact that he came in and didn't he met with Silver, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. The fact that he completely got into the office with the commissioner, kind of lied to him, I think that's when you get in real trouble.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because listen, the money is there for him. So he's made unbelievable money. He earned that money, but he actually missed out on getting the Supermax because to get the Supermax contract, you have to be voted NBA first team. And he was having a good enough season to be first team, but because of the off-the-court stuff, he ended up not getting voted first team. So he lost like $30 million. But listen, the guy's going to make enough money for multiple lifetimes. It's just going to – I think the league was making a big bet on Ja Morant that he could be one of the next faces of the league.
Yeah, I
like in a post-LeBron world.
I don't see Ja as really that kind of player. He's in that group of guys, but there are probably 8 of them who are at the same level. In my opinion, I don't think he was so transcendent. The question is, he signed a big Nike deal this year, and I think that goes away. I think they'll probably try and get out of that.
Because Powerade.
How can Nike print his shoes? They just set out a signature shoe. They're going to pull away, I would imagine. And they're definitely not going to renew him. So
the question is, does he care?
I think everybody cares about money, so I'm assuming he does.
But he's already got generational wealth just from the contract that he signed with the Grizzlies. He's making over $100 million.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, I think if Nike pulled away, I think that would be an embarrassment for him. I think he wants to be the face of the league, I would imagine. The thing about him in the league, he was in Memphis, okay? Were the Grizzlies really just prime time must see? If the Grizzlies make the finals, would that be one of the top 10 teams you would want to see there? Probably not.
Well, if that's the bar you're going to use. But listen, I watched Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook get really famous in Oklahoma City. So I don't know if it's about market size.
Yeah, but I don't think Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were really the dream pair for an NBA final. I think Ja was very exciting. He's an incredible vertical player. But I don't think from a league standpoint, he was not going to fill that LeBron void because that LeBron void is going to be huge.
Okay, but here's the thing. It's the NBA. Who stays anywhere? I mean,
if he had
the kind of power, he can force his way to L.A. or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of steps away. I think the league will crown new champions. I think Ja was very far away from winning a title and being that kind of player. He's 23, right? So he's so young. But have you ever looked at this Grizzlies team and say, wow, the Grizzlies are really on that trajectory? Now it feels like they're not.
Well, between the Dylan Brooks thing where the team came out and said under no circumstances was he going to be coming back.
Yeah.
They obviously need to do a lot because they do have talent. Jaren Jackson Jr., I mean, they have some young pieces. Why can't they be the next Sacramento Kings? Put together a nice young team, take advantage of some of these older heads who are in the Western Conference.
The Kings haven't gotten out of the first round, but okay.
You know what I'm saying.
But the thing is, they seem to be better when Ja's not there, too. That's the other thing. Ja is I keep getting these ball-dominant guys, Ja Morant, Luka Doncic, James Harden. I don't know that they really can win that style of play. Can he be Steph Curry?
I think right now it's really about the individual, though. It's yes, you're right about the Grizzlies and all that, but this was Nike made a big bet on Ja. The league made a bet on him, I think. Powerade. I mean, there's a reason why he was getting all these big deals and signature shoes. They don't hand those out to everybody.
Yeah.
So they were making a bet on him, and after now having this basically twin incidents, almost identical incidents in 2 months, everything's got to be on the back burner.
I mean, it's clearly progression, right? They're not just, clearly he's headed down this, there's going to be another one too.
Unless somebody or something steps in and intervenes, right? Or it's got to be him. You're saying it's got to be him. He's the one who's got to see the error of his ways, right?
Well, I'm not saying he has a drug or alcohol problem, but if somebody has a drug or alcohol problem, nobody can intercede and make that person recover. There's only one person who can recover, and that's Ja Morant. So Ja Morant has to grow up here or he has no chance.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, got a lot to do, including a major announcement that's going to impact the NFL. Perloff's got an interesting take on it. We'll get to that in just a moment after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports. Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by HelloFresh. Shake up dinner time with HelloFresh. With 40 weekly recipe options, there's always something new to try. Get 16 free meals plus free shipping with code SKATE16 at HelloFresh.com/skate16. They will be skating tonight in Dallas, where there is a Game 7. The Stars host the Kraken for the right to meet the Golden Knights in the Western Conference Finals. Dallas will play on home ice after failing to wrap things up on Saturday night. Head coach Pete DeBoer also banking on his veteran players to come through.
But we've got great experience in that dressing room. Joe Pavelski, Ryan Suter, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin. Those guys have played lots of Game 7s in their career and have risen to the occasion on a lot of different teams and at different times. So.
The NBA has the night off with the Western Conference Finals beginning tomorrow night in Denver, while the East begins Wednesday after Jason Tatum's record-setting 51-point Game 7 to lift the Celtics over the 76ers. Baseball this afternoon in Washington. The Mets and Nationals are even at 1 in the top of the third. I'm Rich Eck.
Right after Zach Gelb and before After Hours, it's the all-new JR Sport Brief, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on CBS Sports Radio. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Been talking a lot of hoops today. We're drinking Perloff's tears with the 76ers. 855-212-4CBS. Tough showing last night against the Celtics in Game 7. Got some news from the NFL world. And I'm just a tiny bit confused about how this is all going to go down, Perloff, but I'm sure it's going to become obvious. So Matt Ryan today, joining the CBS family. Welcome aboard, Matt Ryan. He's going to be a studio host and also a game analyst. However, in his tweet announcing this, he said, but this isn't a retirement post. So
he wants to play more, but no one has signed him yet.
I guess, but so what are you going to do? Are you going to have a full slate here with CBS and it's all contingent on, but in week 7, if someone gets hurt and I get called off the couch, all right, bye? Or I think you'll find someone to fill in for me for the rest of the year?
I think he'll be a studio guy. Is that the sense we're getting?
Studio and game.
Studio and game.
It's going to be a mix.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen guys come out of the booth before. Jeff Saturday, coach.
I know, and that was a terrible idea, but also he was only coach. I mean, listen,
Jay Cutler did it.
But ESPN, I guess Jay had not officially taken the job yet.
No, he'd taken the job. He was second in command. They'd done a full practice game, and it was August. He was the B crew for Fox.
Yeah, and then he got out. The Dolphins job.
He pulled out, right?
Which is weird because then Jay never got another shot.
Yes.
I guess maybe you shouldn't want to tick off Fox.
Well, no, that might be. Yeah, that's probably right. You probably didn't get him mad because everyone said Jay Cutler was a burgeoning superstar.
I had heard that too, that he was very comfortable. But so okay. Anyway, details, schmeetails. We'll all figure it out.
It is important to me.
Oh, it's important to you
because I need Matt Ryan to go back and play for one more season.
Why?
Because I have become the guy on the bullhorn saying Matt Ryan should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
And here's why. He's actually number 7 on the all-time passing list right now. He's at 62,792 yards. All he needs is another 1,000 yards, basically, and he'll pass Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger and become the 5th all-time passer.
Okay, but nobody in their right mind thinks that Matt Ryan is a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger. And if you want to have a Phillip Rivers debate, I'll have it with you. But I think Rivers was better.
Okay, but both of those guys are in the Hall of Fame. And guess who's going to join him there?
I know, but Roethlisberger... First of all, is a 2-time Super Bowl champ.
No, I'm not arguing, but he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Roethlisberger is getting in, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
First ballot. They might ding him a little bit because of the off-the-field stuff.
I'll bet you all the money I have, he's a first ballot.
You might be
He's a quarterback.
I'm not going to quibble with you. But Phillip Rivers might not get in first ballot. That might be a little tougher. Never an MVP, never a Super Bowl appearance. Matt Ryan is not a Hall of Famer.
Yes, but he will be a Hall of Famer.
He will not. And neither will Matthew Stafford.
Stafford, I'm not as sure on, but Ryan, I'm sure on.
Okay, but see, here's the thing about Ryan. You have comps here to Matt Ryan.
Right.
Of people, his biggest comps are guys who are not in the Hall of Fame. So his biggest comp would probably be our pal down the hall, our friend Boomer Esiason, who was also an MVP, who also went to a Super Bowl and lost, who also was a 4-time Pro Bowler, who also, when he retired, was the 7th all-time in passing yards. And Boomer's not in. I mean, Steve McNair was an MVP, lost in a Super Bowl in a heartbreaking fashion, was a Pro Bowler. He's not in. Ken Anderson's not in. Your boy Donovan McNabb's not in. You know, there's other guys. If you're not going to win a Super Bowl, you really got to be much, much more, I think, than what Ryan was.
Okay. Let me just tell you who actually his real comps for a career are. This is statistically. Dan Marino, John Elway, Philip Rivers, Fran Tarkenton, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Joe Montana. This is from Pro Football Reference. And they have a Hall of Fame meter statistical category, and he is extremely high. He is.
Do you think that he might have played in the same era as Aaron Rodgers? There's no way that we never had the debate who's better, Matt Ryan or Aaron Rodgers.
No. But statistically, I guess he comes in close. So did I say Aaron Rodgers? Was he on that list?
You said Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, right. Okay, Aaron Rodgers on that list. Right. Statistically, he's in that category. He is in the top 10 all-time in passing yards. He's in top 10 of comebacks. He's actually 4th. And the people ahead of him, I believe, are Manning, Brady, and Favre or something crazy. He's in elite category.
But how long is he going to be top 10 in passing yards? That is like blowing in the wind. That stat just doesn't hold anymore. Here's the thing about Marino. If you want to do passing yards, he led the NFL in passing yards 5 times. He led the NFL in touchdowns 3 times and passer rating once. You know, Matt Ryan led in passer rating once. You know, you hate compilers. Nobody, when Ryan was playing, and listen, I sound like I'm disrespecting him. I'm not. Matt Ryan had an excellent career. He'll have money forever. His grandkids are going to have money forever because he was in the NFL. Great for him. But he's not elite.
Well, I mean, he definitely was elite. He was an elite quarterback.
Well, he had an all-time year in 2016 where he got everything. He got the MVP. He made an All-Pro. Yeah. He went to the Super Bowl. But that was 1 year peak.
Well, I mean, listen, the guy had double-digit wins his first 6 seasons in the NFL. He was a really high-level winning quarterback. He made it to 1 Super Bowl, which he blew at half. He was up 28-3. And then he was 1 pass away, if we just seen Tony Gonzalez in the end zone, from making another Super Bowl.
See, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
He has these numbers, but he also was playing with great players. So this isn't like a Tim Brown situation where he was a wide receiver, played with 20 different quarterbacks. Yeah. Like, he had Hall of Famers around him, too. I bet Julio might get in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Tony Gonzalez is in.
Well, yeah, but Tony, listen, it wasn't exactly the youngest Tony Gonzalez with him at all times. Matt Ryan, I think the only argument really against him is Kyle Shanahan was the reason Matt Ryan was so good. But I
didn't think about that.
I think everybody underestimates how easily quarterbacks are going to get voted in, because they have the ball in their hand every play. They're so much more important than every other position.
Sure.
I think the Hall of Fame is going to recognize them, and all of these guys are getting in. Everybody. I think Eli's getting in. I think Ben's getting in. I think Rivers is getting in. I think Matt Ryan's getting in, because they are just more important. You're going to put them against really good players at other positions, and there's just no way. There's no safety in the game who impacted football like Matt Ryan.
I understand it, but I'm thinking during Matt Ryan's career, did I ever think of him as being even the top 5 best quarterback in the league while he was playing?
Well, I got to tell you right now, it's going to go 10 to 12 deep of Hall of Famers.
No, but era. Eli Manning's a different thing, right? Because he's got the 2 Super Bowls. They beat the undefeated Patriots. Like, his last name's Manning. He's a totally separate case. I think that Matt Ryan he's Hall of Very Good.
I think Hall of Very Good for a quarterback gets you in. I just think he's going to be in.
Because I don't put him on the same level as like even a Dan Fouts or a Warren Moon or like obviously Marino. Marino to me also was like trailblazer type.
These are huge.
I'm talking about other guys who never won Super Bowls. That's
what I'm saying. Marino, yeah, you just named Hall of Famers.
That's what I'm saying. I don't put Matt Ryan in that category when I think about guys who are really good who never won Super Bowls, right?
Yeah. But I think, first of all, he's right on the heels of Warren Moon. Warren Moon had good years and had bad years. I think you could make the argument. And Fouts had a very short shelf life. But Marino's Marino. That's like comparing someone to Montana.
No, but I know. But you said statistically on Pro Football, whatever you were on, that he does rate as, that he does compare to Marino. That sounds like bogus to me.
So look at this year's class.
Or Aaron Rodgers. That just doesn't matter. That can't be right.
You're telling me these guys had more of an impact on the NFL than Matt Ryan, who is a multi-Pro Bowl time quarterback. This year's class was Cliff Branch from the Raiders, Leroy Butler, our buddy, Sam Mills, the linebacker, defensive end Richard Seymour, Dick Vermeil, and defensive tackle Bryant Young.
Listen,
those guys.
Do you want it to just be a quarterback? Like
you're going to put you're going to put Bryant Young against Matt Ryan. I'm telling you, in that room, people are going to vote for Matt Ryan.
Well,
because he had a huge impact on the game.
Did he, or was he just a good quarterback?
I mean, Matt Ryan was a factor for a long time. Yeah, he was a good quarterback.
He had 5 playoff appearances. He took his team to the playoffs 5 times.
I mean, I think, he was a good quarterback. He was a really good
He's a good quarterback.
He was
Thank
an
you.
MVP.
And he was an MVP, but there have been a lot of MVPs who I named. Boomer, Steve McNair, Ken Anderson. These guys.
Ken Anderson should definitely be in the Hall.
Okay, we can talk about Ken Anderson. He probably should be in the Hall.
All old timers always say Ken Anderson should be in the Hall.
He probably should be in the Hall.
You and I have,
but Ken Anderson not being in the Hall so that Matt Ryan can eventually get into the Hall doesn't make any sense.
I'm not saying it should or shouldn't be. I'm saying Matt Ryan will be wearing that gold jacket. I am telling you right now.
You might as well just make it a quarterback Hall of Fame. Because that's what would we be doing there. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, a surprising firing. Who got let go and why will it matter? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Jeffrey Howell in the chat says, got a little advice from me. Maggie, for your 40-yard dash at next year's draft, have someone attach a bag of gummies to a stick like they do at a dog track. See, that implies that I needed some kind of motivation. The motivation was to not embarrass myself, which I'm pretty sure I did. I had like a Fred Flintstone kind of wind up where I was like, like my feet were going, and then I took off.
Yeah.
Like
you were
fast feet.
Next year, maybe can we get you a coach or something? Somebody tell you how to get out of the blocks.
How about just like a pair of shorts?
Some sneakers, maybe.
Sneakers. I plan a little better for this thing.
The upright running style, you have so much wind resistance.
I told you, I'm taller than people think, so that's a whole 5'8". I'm like a parachute out there.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. On this Monday, Perloff scouring the internet to try to find more ammo to make a Matt Ryan is a future Hall of Famer debate. You can search till the end of the time on that computer. It's not in there because it didn't happen on the field.
I'm not doing a should or shouldn't. I'm telling you as a fact, he will be wearing that weird-looking jacket. That is just the way it works. I know these voters. I've worked with many of them.
Yeah.
When Matt Ryan said, first of all, they love Matt Ryan. They love
that should not play into it, but it does, obviously. They're humans.
We were part of Tony Baselli lobbying in the press for years. It's all who you like, and people love.
What do you mean we?
Did we have Baselli on?
Baselli's great. I love him. He's awesome. He tortured my Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I was not contributing to that Hall of Fame candidacy.
Yeah, well, I think anybody who had Tony Baselli on, and he's great in the media, and he only played 7 years and made, or some small number like that, made the Hall of Fame. So I do think likability is impossible to ignore. And I think voters are going to give the benefit of the doubt to quarterbacks for a good reason. They're the most important player on the field. And more so than when Boomer Esiason won it, quarterback is everything. They deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. They are the most important people on the field.
Do you think Cam Newton's getting in?
So Cam Newton's a one MVP the last 20 years who might not, but his production fell off so drastically after he started getting injured.
Cam, though, did win an MVP, and he did go to a Super Bowl. I mean, I know they lost it to the Denver Broncos, but I do not think that Matt Ryan is an MVP, is a Hall of Famer. There's been a lot of MVPs who have not gotten into the Hall of Fame. You mentioned Boomer, Steve McNair. There's guys who have not won Super Bowls who have gotten into the Hall. Of course, like Marino and Fouts and Warren Moon. I don't put Matt Ryan on their level.
Well, here's the thing, though. The
Warren
stats
Moon never won a Super Bowl, but you know what I mean.
So if you look at the stats, though, like there's no one on the all-time passing yardage list. Matt Ryan is 7th now. There's no one near him on that list who's not in the Hall of Fame. They're all in.
Okay, but give that a couple years. We have 17 games now, number one. So these records are going to keep falling by the wayside even faster. And I just don't, if the Hall of Fame voters are just going to use that as a metric, then it's faulty. Because we all know that we're playing in a different time where defensive backs and defenders in general are completely hamstrung compared to what they used to be able to do.
So he's 7th. The guys behind him are Dan Marino's 8, Aaron Rodgers 9, Eli 10, Stafford 11, Elway 12, Warren Moon 13, Fran Tarkenton 14. So he would be an outlier. It'd be very obvious if he didn't get in. It's like, why is Matt Ryan worse than Phillip Rivers, for example?
Okay, so Matt Ryan announced today that he's going to be joining CBS as an analyst, but he said this is not a retirement. So the clock's not even going to technically start ticking. So that's going to hurt his Hall of Fame candidacy, because all that's going to happen is guys are going to keep narrowing the gap on him in terms of his yardage and his, and some of these numbers.
Although, I wonder, there's no one, I'm looking at the list, there's nobody active who's even close. The next closest, while Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers are close, then Joe Flacco's at the end. Russell Wilson is 27,000 yards behind. He's not going to catch him. Yeah. Andy Dalton's 28,000 yards. He's not going to catch him. So I wonder, though, the game is changing a little bit. Guys are not getting the 5,000-yard seasons. They're running a lot more. They're getting hurt a lot more. Maybe passing yards will not be on this rise because, it's Mahomes.
I am not willing to say that yet.
I don't know. Who's the young quarterback? Is Allen and Herbert and those guys, are they going to be healthy enough to put up 68,000 passing yards?
I mean, knock on wood, yeah. I think Burrow and Mahomes and Herbert and Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen. Who knows?
Quarterbacks, I don't know.
Who knows what else Deshaun Watson's going to do in his career?
Look at these top 10 quarterbacks. They are all statues. They all can. Tom Brady 1, Drew Brees 2, Peyton Manning 3, Brett Favre 4, Big Ben 5, Philip Rivers 6, Matt Ryan 7, Dan Marino 8. What do they all have in common? They did not run at all.
Okay, well, but also rules are changing. Can't touch the quarterbacks as much. If they stay in the pocket, they're going to have all the protections.
Yeah, but
this is, by the way, you're just the candidacy for Matt Ryan hinges on whether or not some other guys get hurt. That's not a pro Matt Ryan debate. No, that's a everyone else falling by the wayside debate.
Well, I'm just saying it would be so weird, to have him in the top 10 in passing yards and not get in. What was Matt Ryan? And he won all the time. He won at a higher rate than a lot of these guys. He had a lot of success in the NFL. And he had an
5 trips to the playoffs and 1 to the Super Bowl, where he lost in an epic way.
5 playoff trips. That's pretty good. How many did, Are we
doing Hall of Good, though, or are we doing Hall of Elite?
Okay, I'm just telling you, the NFL, by the way, is definitely a Hall of Good because they put in 7 a year.
Yeah.
And wait till his class. You're going to laugh at whoa, Matt Ryan's got a great opportunity. People love them to Matt Ryan. He's the nicest guy in the world. He's from Philly, I might add. Wait till he gets in the media. Oh my God. You tell me, if you think for a second that being in the media does not help you get in the Hall of Fame, then you're not paying attention.
No, I do think so. But on his career alone, he is not a Hall of Famer in my eyes. You mentioned he's from Philadelphia. Perloff 76ers, unfortunately, go down without much fanfare yesterday. Game 7 in Boston. Jason Tatum scored 51. It was a rough third quarter for the 76ers, and they're now going home. 5 out of the last 6 seasons, they've lost in the second round, and this is no different. So we're going to play a little game. Of all the teams who lost over the weekend, so that would be the Knicks, the 76ers, the Warriors, and the Suns, who would you want to be moving forward? Who's got the brightest future of those 4 specific teams who all got sent packing this weekend?
My answer is the Suns.
Why?
Because you have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Pretty scientific there.
There you go. You can find that on the internet along with the Matt Ryan Hall of Fame debate.
So I'm looking at the rosters, and I see the Knicks, I see the Sixers, I see the Warriors, and I don't see Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
Yeah.
So the Knicks are several pieces away.
Yeah.
The Sixers have a gigantic James Harden, Joel Embiid problem.
And Doc.
And the Warriors just feel like they're getting old with the core. So I just think it's natural. Feels like that last year's title was a last hurrah. It's kind of the Patriots 2018, and now they're headed on to newer versions of the team.
So Steph Curry's got to find his version of the Bucks or something. Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely.
Here's the one thing about the Suns. So over the weekend, I would say a mild surprise because coaches are basically hired to be fired, especially in the NBA. Monty Williams was fired, even though he is the current NBA Coach of the Year. He was fired. So now the Suns...
Wait. Did they name a new one, I assume? He wasn't last year's Coach of the Year.
No, I think he won it this year again. I think he's a 2-time.
Monty Williams won it this year?
Mike Brown won it this year.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mike Brown won it this year. Monty Williams won it 2 years ago. Pardon me. Monty Williams, a former Coach of the Year winner. Thank you, Stu. Let go because of this second-round exit. I mean, talk about a scapegoat.
Okay, yes. Let me just say one thing. I watched that Suns Nuggets series. Do you honestly think he had opportunities to make adjustments? And what adjustments did the Suns make? How did they do what one move did they make the whole series that put them in a better situation? Nothing.
Okay, who was he supposed to go to? You have Chris Paul's hurt. DeAndre Ayton ended up being hurt for the decisive Game 6.
Yeah.
The rest of the rotation outside of Booker and Durant were dudes who we barely hear from.
Maybe you throw a single double team at Jokic, just one, just to keep them. Maybe you try something on defense.
I know, but Jamal Murray was hitting from everywhere.
Not the whole series.
I mean, towards the end of the series, he was, because he also was playing Durant and Booker 44 minutes a game. I mean, they were all completely gassed. He just didn't have enough, ammo for this series.
I totally agree. I think that if Chris Paul hadn't gotten hurt, the series might have gone a different way a little bit. But I just think that he didn't do anything to help the team there. I think the Suns had a great chance of that series. I didn't think it was a blowout by any means. I know he didn't have the guys, but I was watching Monty Williams. I wasn't impressed with the series. I just wasn't.
Well,
I don't want him for my Sixers.
Interesting.
I think he seems like an amazing guy.
Yeah.
But the Sixers are in a position where they need to take a flyer on just the most incredible coach you've ever seen, because they need a miracle.
Wait,
they don't
who
need
is this person?
I'm thinking Nick, the 2019 version of Nick Nurse.
Yeah, he's got to come walking through that door.
Yes,
only that version. Though.
Somebody who comes out of the Popovich school, like a young Greg Popovich. They need somebody who's going to be a radical change from what they're doing now. Monty Williams to me just seems like a good NBA coach. Right. I think you need to really take a swing here.
Well, I mean, you got some egos on your team, though. That might not be the easiest thing. And here's another part. Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Sixers, loves playing favor. He's got his guys that he loves, and James Harden clearly was one of them. The other one's Mike D'Antoni. How old's D'Antoni nowadays?
He's not that old, is he?
Is he?
I saw him at Starbucks like 2 years ago. He looked great.
Great.
Is Mike D'Antoni
Does he still
older?
have the mustache?
Well,
72 years old.
72.
Oh, okay, that's not that bad. I mean, listen, what's Belichick, 71?
I think Belichick has 71.
Yeah.
Saban, I think, is 72.
What's Popovich?
Probably right around there.
But wait, first of all,
74 for Popovich.
Who wants Mike D'Antoni?
No, I'm just saying Daryl Morey has a connection with D'Antoni, just like he did with Harden.
That can't happen. I mean, if you're talking about a team that can't win in the playoffs and you bring in Mike D'Antoni.
I'm just saying Morey's got his favorites.
No. Listen, they just lost a Game 7. What's Mike D'Antoni in Game 7? They could not in a million years bring in the guy nobody's had more regular season success and failed more in the postseason than him.
The one, just going back to the Suns for 1 second, after getting rid of Monty Williams over the weekend, I think that Kevin Durant is probably a coachable guy. It always seems like basketball-wise, he's always got his head in the right spot. But he hasn't exactly been like the model of consistency with his coaches either.
What do you mean?
Like, he went to Brooklyn and Kenny Atkinson was there, and basically they were like, we can't do this because Kenny Atkinson isn't going to start DeAndre Jordan. He got fired. They bring in Steve Nash. That didn't end up working out. They elevate Jacques Vaughn, and Kevin Durant asked for a trade. Do you guys remember when Kevin Durant said it's either the GM or the coach?
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Come on. I don't know. If I'm a coach, am I running to coach Durant? I mean, I probably am, because these guys are sick and they all think that they can, I'll do it. I'll get this guy to his peak. I don't know if that Durant's even coming back anymore. And this is a tough assignment. Assignment. Who does Durant actually want to play for?
I wouldn't worry so much about the coach. For Phoenix, they have very limited opportunities to get some bodies in there. That's what they need. Ayton is terrible.
Toast.
He's a defense killer. He's an offense. He's actually okay on offense, but they need a whole set of bodies. They need 5 wing defenders.
Which, doesn't it kind of make you wonder why the general manager survived this shakeup?
Well, because they were going nowhere before that too. They were sort of headed down.
Well, who created the team? James Jones. I mean, he's been the general manager there for a few years now.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not the Durant move. I totally understand why they made that. They had to try something.
Well,
and they were looking pretty good. I think you need to get more time to the Durant move. Now the question is, can you get enough warm bodies in there to win?
Okay, the latest I heard is that the Suns are interested in James Harden.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Okay. I mean, this is where they're going to have to go, though. It's like Hardens and the Kyries and guys like that, because they have no draft capital. Because here's the other thing about Durant. You kind of screw your future team when you tell your current team, I want to be traded and here's where I want to go, and I'm not going to go anywhere else, because all the leverage goes to the Brooklyn Nets in that situation. They had all the leverage in the trade because Durant wanted to go to the Suns and only the Suns.
I don't even remember any of this, but it doesn't matter. This is
just happened.
The whole Nets, Durant, Harden, Kyrie thing, you can just put that in the trash bin of NBA history.
Not me. I'm not putting it in the bin. I'm keeping it alive.
But you can't blame Kevin Durant for anything that happened there. He had Kyrie Irving and James Harden, the two most toxic players in the last 30 years in the NBA.
He chose to play with Kyrie, and he wanted James Harden there. So, yes, I can totally blame Durant for that.
I don't think
If he didn't want to play with Kyrie, he would have never come to Brooklyn in the first place. He could have stayed in Golden State, and they could have ripped off a Michael Jordan style 6 in a row if he wanted to.
Yes, but he was getting killed for being in Golden State.
This is him again, his ego. Him and Draymond can get along. Like, at some point, Durant's got to wear some of this. There's a common denominator here with this guy, and it's him.
The problem is never KD. It's Kyrie. It's James Harden. The Phoenix, I really like what Booker. I loved how Booker and KD looked together. They were 8-0 in the regular season. I think there's really something here. I think they need a new coach, and I think they need a lot of defensive players. Like big, tall, strong wing defenders, because they got to be able to handle a team like Denver was just so much bigger. And when Paul went out, that was bad. So here's the big question for me is, do you bring back Chris Paul? Because you're not going to get much for him in the trade market.
I think you have to move on.
Move on for what? Just let him go?
Well, I think so. I think you might be able to buy him out. Or you might be able to stretch him a little bit. Maybe you keep him for another year. But here's the problem with Paul. I can't count on him that he's going to be able to be in the playoffs when I need him the most.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, I don't know. I like the Suns.
See, this is why, to me, if I'm looking at these 4 teams, the Knicks, the 76ers, the Warriors, the Suns, all the teams that lost over the weekend, who's got the brightest future, I'm still going to tip my cap to the Warriors here. And here's why. I think that it's not beyond and out of reason that Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are going to have to take some major pay cuts, right? I mean, if they really want to end their careers as Warriors, which they keep saying they do, especially Draymond said, I want to ride out with the same guys I rode in on. Well, you're going to have to understand that you're not a max player anymore, or not even close to that. So I think if they're bought in on that, there's still time to develop young guys like Kuminga or like Moody. I think there's still time to turn around Jordan Poole. Maybe. The extension hasn't even kicked in yet.
Oof.
Thank you, Manny. Draymond sounds like the beginning of Thriller.
Do you have any indication that Draymond's going to take less money? Because that doesn't seem the way he's been operating.
He said he wants to remain a Golden State Warrior. You can't pay him off of the glory years. You know?
All right, let's make a show bet right now. Who wins more games or who gets further next year, the Warriors or the Suns?
I don't like who wins more games because we both know the regular season doesn't mean squat.
All right, who goes further then?
Who goes further? Okay, I'll take the Warriors.
Okay, I'm gonna bet on the Suns. Funny thing, we have at least my team, we don't know who the coach is here. We don't know who players.
And that makes you feel better.
3 through 14 are going to be.
Jock Landau will be back, ladies and gentlemen.
I love Jock Landau.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You want to get involved with the show. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, hit subscribe. You need to help us, please, achieve our goal, 1,000 new subscribers to our YouTube page, and the Carson Wentz poster behind Perloff gets destroyed on our show live. Whips, chains.
What?
I don't know. Lighter fluid.
Wait, what?
I don't know. We're going to really do a number on this thing. I don't know why my mind went to whips and chains.
Wow.
Some kind of a saw.
Wow.
This poster is going to get destroyed. But we need your help. 1,000 subscribers at youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Coming up, we have a 5-star quarterback makes a commitment. We'll tell you where he's going and who it is next. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff in just moments.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today's question comes from Jimmy in Athens. Did you see the new commitment from quarterback Dylan Raiola? Don't forget, you can submit a question by going to cbssportsradio.com/askthepros or tweeting it at CBS Sports Radio using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yes, the top #1 quarterback recruit in the country, still in high school, is Dylan Raiola. He's the son of Dominic Raiola, who's the former offensive lineman for the Lions, right? He has committed to Georgia, although Perloff's dubious of this.
Well, yeah. So, by the way, Matt Rule, Nebraska tried so hard because his dad went to Nebraska, did not land him. So, Dylan Raiola famously committed to Ohio State, was the big deal. Like Ryan Day didn't recruit anyone in 2023 just to show Raiola that the whole program was his. Then he decommitted in December. Now he's going to Georgia. And here's the thing. It feels to me, what I've been reading and hearing, that this has all become a giant game with NIL and transfer portal, where these quarterbacks sign with a team and say, all right, here's the price that I'm getting here.
Right.
What are you going to give me? And maybe he'll start at Georgia, but in this day and age with the transfer portal, are we confident that he'll actually play for them or finish him? The last time Georgia got a number one style recruit was Justin Fields, and he never really played there.
Right.
He couldn't beat out Jake Fromm, and he ended up going to Ohio State, ironically, where Raiola decommitted from.
It worked out for him, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just a little dubious. This guy seems like a little bit of a jumper.
Well, maybe is it that, or he's just playing the game the way that it should be played now because he's the top of the top.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, jumper is pejorative, but that's
used to it. You know,
that's the game, right? That's why it feels. It seems like it's not about your recruiting class anymore. It's about your second class.
Well, here's the part, too, about the NIL. It's not supposed to be a recruiting tool. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice try. But we all know it is a recruiting tool. So when you decommit, do you still keep the money? I always thought that was a little bit of a gray area.
The NIL, the way I understand the NIL deals, they have these clauses in there where kind of a lot of times you'll see the deal has to be in this zip code.
Right, a certain square mileage.
Yeah. And if you're not playing near here, then the deal. So they have language in there to protect them if the player leaves or gets cut or just quits football or whatever. So I think there's some protection there. But this guy's recruitment, it seems to be a very active recruitment, so I wouldn't say that this is his final stop.
This is not the last we've heard.
Doesn't that feel like the way college football is now? Just sort of observing it. It feels like these guys jump more than ever.
Yeah, it does, and it's created just free agency, for free agency and guys who are getting straight up poached off of other rosters.
Getting recruited off of other rosters.
Yes.
The recruiting never ends anymore.
And I just can't tell, like, on the surface, it seems like it's really good for the players, right? You're constantly getting, where's the better offer? Where can I go? Who really wants me? And all of that. Yet at the same time, I can't help but think there's got to be a lot of guys who get bad intel, bad directions, and end up kind of lost a little bit in no man's land.
Yeah. Guys who transfer without a home, absolutely.
And just sort of expect that something's going to happen, and then it doesn't.
And some guys declare, it's similar to some guys declare for the draft who really are not draft worthy. So, yeah, no, that's not good. But as far as transferring, like, you could be the top, you could transfer, be top level. Look at the number one picks. There was a time Bryce Young stayed at Alabama, Trevor Lawrence stayed at Clemson, but Joe Burrow transfer, Kyler Murray transfer, Baker Mayfield transfer. I mean, there was a lot of, you could transfer and have incredible. Justin Fields transfer.
Yeah.
Seems to be the rule more than the exception now. So all I'm saying is Dylan Raiola, there's a great chance he'll end up somewhere else because it's the way guys are right now.
Yeah, they're going to be multiple. Listen, it might help them because you get to be in multiple systems.
Oh, yeah.
You get to the NFL, you already know 3 different coaching trees and what they do.
Right. Look at Michael Penix, and now found second life at Washington this year. Hendon Hooker last year found the second life at Tennessee.
Yep.
I think it's really good for players. You're right about risking too many guys going to the portal, but who knows if they would have graduated their original program. I think generally it's pro player. Don't you think?
Listen, it gives you an out, right? It gives you an escape if you really feel like you don't want to be in this program anymore, and you get to do it one time. You don't have any kind of, penalties. You don't have to sit out. So
the downside for the fans, I think, is if you have a great player that you lose. Like Drake May in North Carolina decided to stay at North Carolina, and he had, I'm sure, lots of big-time coaches were making him offers. So if they had lost him, that would have been frustrating. Oklahoma obviously lost Caleb Williams.
Yep.
So I do think from the sort of fans of a team, there is a definite downside because you can't invest in a guy. It's like NFL free agency.
No, it's constant at all times.
So what do you think? Georgia is, first of all, remember Alabama? Remember when they were the good team in college football?
Listen, I'm not done with Alabama yet.
Yeah. It sure feels like Georgia is a new Alabama. This sort of brings it home that they're the. I don't know. I'm looking at some predictions for next year, and Georgia's pretty high already. It doesn't matter how many people are losing to the NFL.
I mean, a three-peat? Are we going to see that?
We need our research department. When's the last time that happened?
I mean,
it's probably Nebraska and Nebraska, Florida State. Any of these schools?
I don't know if they did 3 in a row. We'll get on that.
I don't think so.
In the meantime, Manny, let's get to our Cowboys quickie for today. Well, this one's hilarious. Obviously, we'll all remember the Cowboys had some issues with their kicker at the end of the season. Brett Maher missed 5 of 6 extra points, and everyone got real nervous about the kicking situation. So the Cowboys do have a guy, Tristan Vizcaíno, is on their roster, but John Fossil, who is the special teams coach, Bones Fossil, was explaining to the team's website they're not done looking for a kicker.
Well, we got Tristan on the roster, and I think anybody else on earth who's not on the team right now is under consideration. Yeah, that's everybody, really. I mean, guys that are legitimate, but, we don't want to just bring in a camp leg to kind of get through camp and save somebody. Anybody we come in here has got to compete with Tristan, and we feel has to be a legitimate possibility of being a starting kicker in the NFL.
Anyone on earth. That's what they're looking for, a kicker. They're scouring the earth, and I totally understand why. Thank you, man.
There was some USFL kicker who had 8 field goals in a game yesterday.
They said they're looking XFL, USFL. They're looking at like the Robbie Golds and all the veteran guys who don't have a team yet.
Love Robbie Gold. By the way, I did find there was a three-peat, and you should have known this one.
I should have known this one?
Yeah, let's see. Ack
will know
Can you name the last college football team to three-peat as national champion?
Three-peat is a national.
Wait, why should I have known it? If this is someone close to me?
No, I mean, it's
a major, Miami?
It's a major program. It's a Big Ten.
They're currently in the Big Ten, or they were in the Big Ten at some point?
Currently in the Big Ten. They three-peated. You guys don't remember the University of Minnesota three-peat from 1934, 1935, and 1936?
Sorry. I love
Stu
that
knew,
team.
I could tell. Yeah, do you remember the Gophers?
Yeah.
The Gophers, they were 7-1 in 1935 when there were only 14 teams in the whole world. So it has been that long. Sorry,
Well,
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I was going to say Ohio State during Woody Hayes, but I didn't
No.
remember
I was
them
like, they have
doing
like
that.
Penn State?
It's almost been 100 years since there's been a real three-peat. There was... The Army won 3 in a row, but they weren't all recognized for some reason during World War II.
Okay.
So it does not happen. Georgia would be really the first modern era team to three-peat.
And it would be before the college football playoff expands, right? Because aren't we going into the last year that it's only 4?
Yeah.
Or do we have 2 more years of that? I think we're in the last year of that.
And the funny thing, too, Ohio State almost had them.
I know.
So that would be something to be the first three-peat since those Gophers. I'm sorry.
Got a name on that Gophers team? There's got to be some fun ones on there.
Was Rashad Bateman on that team? I can't remember. That's the only Gopher that comes to mind.
That's like when people were named like Campy and stuff like that.
Yeah,
weird, you know.
They had nicknames, Gipper, and
stuff like that.
No, sorry. That's why I was totally joking when I said you would have known that one.
I was really like, man, is this like a Jim Kelly University of Miami thing I should have known?
Stu, did you look it up and find out the same information?
I did, and when you said this is a team you should know and a great Big Ten team, I'm like, oh boy, poor Maggie. She has no shot here. She's thinking Michigan, Ohio State.
I know, that was really mean. I'm sorry.
I was thinking.
The only thing that came to mind was Ohio State, but I knew they didn't three-peat, so I'm like sitting there going through my mind and all the Big Tens, and I'm like going through like Niall Kinnick and all that stuff, and another never came.
I was wondering, Tommy Frazier's Nebraska team, they won 2 in a row, right?
Yeah.
But they never got to 3. I didn't know it was that rare. I'm actually a little surprised that no college football teams have ever three-peated.
Their head coach was Bernie Bierman. What year was this again?
34, 35, 36.
Oh, I'm on 37.
You know who preceded Minnesota as the Rose Bowl champ then?
Dartmouth? No, I don't know.
You're close, though. Columbia won the 34 Rose Bowl, which was a 33 season.
There you go.
Well,
oh, man, Nebraska.
People say they don't learn anything on this show. Nonsense.
Nebraska won, I believe, 94, 95, and 97. So they just missed 3 out of 4, I believe.
The 1936 Minnesota Golden Gophers sent one person to the NFL.
Who's that?
Ed Widseth.
Oh, man.
I can't even get anyone else on the roster. It doesn't exist right now.
You can't even, wait, you're saying the roster doesn't even exist?
Well, I can't find it on websites that we commonly use.
College Football Reference does not have the stats.
It doesn't. I got nothing. I don't even think Wikipedia has it. Which you can't trust that anyway. There you go. They ran the wing T. Shocker.
Of course they did.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, major scuffle this weekend. You're going to hear it. What was happening? Why were teams brawling? We'll get to that in just a moment after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flash.
Down to 4 in the NBA with the Western Conference Finals beginning tomorrow in Denver. The Celtics are back in the conference finals after Jason Tatum's record-setting day yesterday with 51 in the deciding Game 7, while Duke will have a significant piece of its lineup returning with the announcement that Jeremy Roach is back for his senior year. The conference finals and the Stanley Cup playoffs will be set after tonight. The Stars host the Kraken in the deciding game. Seattle forced the showdown with Saturday's win, and now it's win or go home. Kraken head coach Dave Haxtell said they just need to be free and easy tonight.
You don't have to overthink things, no matter what the situation is. Everybody's going to know what's on the line, and like I said, it's a little different challenge than we had in series number 1. So it's a new opportunity, one that we have to be ready and fresh and fired up for.
The winner will face the Golden Knights. Baseball today, right now in Washington, the Mets trail the Nationals 6-1 in the bottom half, will make that the top half of the 6th. The Dodgers look to extend their winning streak tonight to 6 when they host the Twins. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Coming up later on the Zach Gelb Show, we recap a Game 7 between the Sixers and Celtics. Talk to you at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. If you're watching youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, you'll see the Carson Wentz poster that's behind Perloff. We got a report over the weekend. Wentz apparently, guys, open to a starter's job or a backup. So just, he's open to it.
Well, I like it. Listen, you got to make yourself available for either.
I get it. I mean, the whole free agency and the draft happened, and I didn't see anyone call. So,
well, I mean, listen, if you're available to be a starter and a backup, that's a whole gamut of quarterback roles.
That's all you got.
Yeah, that's 100% of things are covered.
I guess you could be practice squad. I don't think we're there yet. Meanwhile, the reason I bring it up, though, got to bring attention to this poster because we're going to destroy this poster, but we need your help. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. If we get 1,000 new subscribers, we will destroy the Wentz poster on air. If we don't get 1,000, then Perloff gets to not only keep the Carson Wentz poster up, but he's going to double down on more Wentz stuff.
This is going to become a Carson Wentz shrine.
The Carson Wentz corner.
Especially if he's a backup or a starter next year.
By the way, he's open to it, so cool.
Can I just explain one thing so everyone knows? I'm not some Carson Wentz apologist or fan. I never once said I think the Eagles should keep Carson Wentz. That has never entered my vocabulary.
We know.
That's why this
You're
poster
on the right side here.
That's why this poster is here, but now it's become funny.
Not really. I mean, it's going to be funny when we destroy it.
It's funny that it's here, and it's funny how much it annoys the other people who use this studio.
Yep.
I just get a kick out of that.
It's going to be very cathartic for all of us when this thing goes down. So
it's going to be a party for everyone except me.
Well, I mean, someone's got to be sacrificed so that the rest of us can have a good time.
What if Carson himself calls in and says, Maggie, I understand the criticism, but it would be important to me to keep this poster up. Could Carson Wentz, if he was really nice, call in and convince you?
I would make a deal with him that we will send him the remains of the poster. Wherever you may be, whatever happens to the poster's final resting spot can be with you, Carson Wentz.
You talk tough.
Nobody is going to stop us from destroying the poster. Although if we don't get enough people signing up, then the poster stays. So.
Oh, come on.
It's kind of life or death.
You're telling me that you would be tough enough in person to say, Carson, we are going to burn and destroy your poster and send you the remnants. You would say that to Carson Wentz.
Listen, he's in an Eagles jersey. He doesn't want one of these things floating around anymore.
What if the Buffalo Bills signed him as a backup?
I'd be very concerned. Quite concerned.
Oh, come on. Is a backup to Josh Allen? What's wrong? Carson Wentz would be a good high-end backup.
No, that's part of the reason why we got to get rid of the poster. Carson Wentz equals bad vibes. So that's why he's got to go.
Wow. So you wouldn't even want him as a backup quarterback. You have Kyle Allen now.
I mean, he might be able to win a couple games. He has played
He'd be a pretty good backup. We're talking about a back. I mean, he's willing to play backup or starter,
I did
Maggie.
say that. I know. I feel like he'd be like secretly cutting the brakes on Josh Allen's car or something to try to get a starter's role. I do not trust that guy. Let's just put that right out there.
Gosh, how the mighty have fallen. Carson Wentz's reputation. Now he's cutting the brake pads, on the brake wires on
Listen,
starters.
these backups, you can't trust them sometimes.
I, too, would like to announce that I am available for a starting or backup job in the NFL.
Oh, fantastic, Manny. We'll get it out there to everyone we know.
Actually, I'd be afraid of getting hit, so I'm actually not available for a backup or a starter role in the NFL.
I'm exclusively a scout team person.
Yeah, I could coach. I might put me in front of a computer screen. I'll analytic up a storm.
Yeah.
I'm not going out on that field.
You can tell the whole team about how Matt Ryan should make it to the Hall of Fame. Blah. No way. Let's get to our Casamigos shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. It was a Casamigos Mother's Day over at my house, which is the very best kind. So thanks to our friends at Casamigos. Well, Perloff, it's been tough for him today because not only did his 76ers lose in terrible fashion yesterday, Game 7 to the Celtics, but we had to rub a little salt in the wound by playing the 76ers song.
He's just much more, he's a little shorter and he's more mobile. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. He's not a center.
No,
he's not a center. He's not a center like Akeem's a center. Like Anthony Davis is really a power forward.
Manny, this is the song only when the 76ers win.
Is this supposed to be a dig? I don't even care.
Manny, don't.
I'm already dead. It doesn't matter.
We've already drank Perloff's tears. We don't need this. This is just rubbing it.
All right. Besides that dig, can we just Anthony Davis is not a center like Joel. Can we just all agree on that?
Perloff, sure. Whatever makes you sleep at night, Perloff. Trying to deflect, redirect. Didn't want to talk about the Sixers. Started bringing up the big man can't win. No, we're talking about the Sixers can't win.
I was trying to get Joel off the hook, saying that it's not his fault. The style of the NBA has changed.
Yes.
I don't know.
He's
I don't
good enough to win the MVP.
Yeah, which is a garbage award in today's NBA. The last one to win the MVP and the title in the same year was Curry in 2015. So there's clearly something off with the MVP.
I'm just going to bring up that certain members of our inner circle admitted that they cried when Joel Embiid won the MVP. It means something to somebody. It's not totally meaningless.
Somebody cried?
Yeah.
For Joel Embiid? No, that
in
did
our
not
inner
happen.
circle.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's sad.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
By the way, can I tell you some of the players that Matt Ryan might be going against?
Matt Ryan, by the way, is going to be broadcasting for CBS next year, but oddly also not retiring yet. So we're not really sure how that's going to work if a team does want to sign him. However, we're talking about his potential Hall of Fame candidacy, which Perloff seems to think is robust and I think is non-existent.
Okay, so if he does retire this year, he'll go against Tom Brady. I think Brady's a first ballot.
What makes you think?
But
debatable. Yeah.
The NFL, remember, lets in 100 guys every year. These are the names.
No, they let in 7.
Calais Campbell, Mason Crosby. It says Robbie Gould retired, so we'll see.
Did he retire? I thought he's still kicking.
Cam Hayward. These might be possible retirements.
Okay. Justin
Houston. Mark Ingram, I believe he's done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Jason Kelsey. Oh, these are guys who might retire. Jason Kelsey's coming back. Like, there are not a lot. Every year, you have to remember, this is not, 7 guys get, it's not baseball. You don't have to be Ryan Sandberg to get in. I couldn't think of a name there. But a lot of guys get in the NFL Hall of Fame, Maggie. A lot of guys. Guys who you'd be like, wait, what?
I don't think Matt Ryan's going to be on that list.
Is
this a long-term show bet?
Yes. So if he does retire in 5 years, you're taking me to a steak dinner. No, 6 years, maybe second ballot when Matt Ryan gets in.
Wait a minute. Now this is just like for whenever Matt Ryan could get in the last shot?
He's getting in the first or second year. I don't have to wait. I'm so confident about this.
Man, I do not see it. I really don't. 855-212-4CBS. Let's get to Mark in Wichita. We're having a discussion about Dylan Raiola, who committed to Georgia. He's a 5-star recruit, top quarterback recruit in the country. He still has to play his senior year of high school. Got us talking about NIL and recruiting, and Mark has a thought on it. What do you got, pal?
Well, I also have a thought on Matt Ryan. Him getting first ballot, the odds are 28-3. Anyway.
Oh, had to go there. Oh, Mark, we teed you up for that one.
That's right. Thank you for that. You know, the NIL is just a contract. You know, why don't they just acknowledge that and just sign, you know, a multi-year contract? You know, because they're trying to be holier than thou. You know, there's no student athletes anymore. I mean, when's the last time you ever heard an athlete being ineligible for grades? You know, when I was in college and I was a non-scholarship player, I had to work my butt off to keep my grades above so I could play. And it's just a different environment anymore. It's all about the money. So why don't you just acknowledge it and tie them up for a couple of years? So at least there's a stability, and maybe just give them one opportunity to jump. And that would take away a dollar more over here and that sort of thing.
You know, Mark, it's a good idea. Thank you so much for the phone call. That would have to be the way this goes, right? If the powers that be, whether that's driven by the coaches or the athletic directors or whoever, really want to tie a kid to the school for more than a year, then Mark's right. It's going to have to be in a contract. The thing is, I think the coaches complain about it, but secretly, they're out there recruiting off of everyone else's roster too.
Not so secretly.
Yeah, so I don't think they want this to change because I think they hate when their guys get poached, but they love poaching other guys.
No. I think they would change it because it means a lot more work. So you're actively recruiting high school players and you're actively recruiting the country. You need a bigger staff so you can scout the country. I don't think these coaches want to put in more hours. So I think if they could go back to the old system, they would.
Really?
Just out of human resource. Think about it. You're recruiting your own team. You can't yell at anybody because they're just going to leave.
Well, do you remember, and I know it's different because it's basketball, not football, but do you remember we were at the Final Four and we talked to Bruce Pearl?
Yeah, he hated it.
Auburn.
Yeah.
Bruce Pearl told us on the air, why would I sign a freshman now, put 15 pounds on him, Bruce Pearl's words, put some hair on his ass, just so that he can transfer somewhere else when I can just go into the portal and get someone who's further down the line of their development. We're like, okay, then we know where you stand.
Multiply that by 100 for the college football where size matters so much, and the guys at 20 are so much bigger than 18. So, nobody...
So the coaches aren't going to want to put a stop to that. They love this.
No. No, I don't think they do. I think they like the old system because Bruce Pearl, he's a hard ass. He cannot yell at his players the same way. You can't do it the way you were trained and you've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah, rule by fear.
Yeah, you can't rule by fear.
Motivate by fear.
You can't be a jerk. So I think they hate this because you have to be nice to your own guys or they're just going to leave.
How dare they? You're going to have to coach a different way.
Have you ever met a coach you think they don't want they live to yell at people? That's their thing.
You have to love it. That is a prerequisite of being a coach. You have to just love screaming at people.
Yeah, I don't think it's healthy. I don't like it, but that's the way it is.
I would not make a good coach. I'm not a yeller.
Well, I mean, there are great coaches who don't yell, right? Steve Kerr is not a yeller.
Yeah, probably not. I imagine like John Wooden wasn't a yeller.
I think he was pretty tight. He was pretty strict, though.
Okay.
He was
Coach K is a huge yeller.
He's a huge yeller. Calipari, he does not yell, does he? He buddies up to guys.
I think he gets on people.
Does he? Coach K was famous.
Coach K, I thought we're lucky his head didn't pop off of his body.
Yeah, I don't know. Every coach I ever had in my life was a yeller, and I wasn't even good enough worth to yell at. They're like, Perloff, get out there and help raise the GPA of our team. That's the best I can say to me.
Got it. How about your boy Bryce Harper getting into it yesterday with the Colorado Rockies? Got himself ejected out of this one. Here's what it sounded like.
Inning is over. Oh, now we got some trouble going. Bryce Harper's got to have to be held back. Jake Bird started saying something. Harper's not happy about it. He's pushing Diaz. Watch the elbow. JT's coming over as well. They're telling, Jake Bird must have said something as he was going off the fields. I mean, for somebody that threw more pitches out of the strike zone than in the strike zone, he's fortunate that he was able to get out of it without any problems.
There you go. That's how it sounded on Phillies TV, if you couldn't tell. That was Phillies TV. Bryce Harper screaming at Bird, the pitcher. This is a loser organization. You've never won anything, which we all had to remind Bryce Harper, neither of you.
Well, he got to the World Series.
Yeah, he did, and his former team won the World Series the year after he left.
I don't think...
No, I mean, Harper's won MVPs. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, compared to Colorado, that franchise has done a lot of things wrong. over the years.
They've had terrible general managing.
Yeah. So I think, and actually the Phillies are pretty hot, so he's probably feeling it. I am interested, by the way. Bryce Harper shot up to 7th in NL MVP odds despite starting the season injured. That would be something, wouldn't it?
That sounds like a Perloff bet if I ever heard one. You got Game 7 tonight, Kraken and the Stars. Enjoy that. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. Thank you to the Weedos, the Purple Drinkers in the chat. We will see you guys tomorrow. We out.
You're in a 5-minute break.